What's up, everybody? This is the Inspirations podcast, and today I have a very, very special guest on. His name is Billy Garrett, and he is the first NBA player to have sickle cell disease and make it to the NBA. And so his story is incredibly inspiring for me personally. I have sickle cell myself, and so to hear him talk about his story and how he got to where he is incredibly inspiring. So I'm so grateful to have you on. Billy, can you please do us a favor and introduce yourself and just give us information about who you are?
Yeah, for sure, man. First, I want to thank you for having me on. Means a lot, because it's always nice to connect with other sickle cell warriors and just kind of share experiences. So first and foremost, just want to do that. But like I said, I'm the first person to play in the NBA with sickle cell disease, SC disease. Also wrote a book, kind of talking about my journey to doing that, called Over to the Warrior, and kind of talks about having sickle cell and going through that whole process, and then the basketball side of everything, and just kind of the metaphysical process I had to go through in order to get to where I got in the basketball world, but more importantly, like what it taught me, beyond the sickle cell and the game itself. So, that's kind of who I am, a little background on what I've been doing recently. I'm sure we'll dive into a lot more, but just to give people a little background.
Yeah, man, I got so many questions for you, man. So what was your journey, man? Like, the first question I want to start off is, what was your journey like going to the NBA and playing basketball, especially as someone with sickle cell? I'm sure that journey must have been unique. How was
Yeah,
that?
for sure, for sure. First, I grew up in a basketball family. My dad's a college basketball coach, has been since I was born. So almost 30 years. My grandfather was the first African American to play in the Big Ten Conference. So I got like a long lineage of basketball players and coaches in my family. So I say that to say I was kind of born into it. So for me, it started how any other journey would start for any kid, for the most part. Playing youth basketball, youth sports, baseball, football, all those things. Gravitated toward basketball, was always around it. And it was like it was a constant in my life, you know what I mean? Because, we would move around a lot. Just my dad being a coach, whenever he was coaching somewhere, we'd have to move and go there. So, I was born in Chicago, grew up on the East Coast for a while. Back to Chicago, I made a stop at Iowa, New Mexico, man, I've been all over. So, basketball was the one constant there. I won't bore you guys with too many like details on it, but like once I got to high school, I was a pretty good player. Won the state championship there. Went to college, was rookie of the year my freshman year at DePaul University, playing for my dad. He was an assistant coach there at the time. So once I got there, had some success individually, but didn't have much team success. Left college, wasn't getting drafted. Didn't have much interest from the NBA, so I went to the G League. So if you follow the NBA, you might know what the G League is, but not it's like the developmental league of the NBA. Went there, had to make a team, like went to an open tryout. They brought me to New York, went to an open tryout with their G League team. Made the team, and then, worked my way into a little bit of playing time, turned into more playing time. And before you knew it, I was getting signed by the Knicks my second year. So they brought me in a training camp, then they cut me. It technically counts as making the team, but I wasn't really there. They cut me before the regular season started. So went back to the G League, same team. Played there for that season, and then eventually got signed by the New York Knicks. Left that G League team as an all-time leading scorer there. And a year and 2 years I was there. I'm sorry. Then went to the NBA. Then been playing in Europe since then. Yeah, man. So that's kind of been my journey as a basketball player. Been all over, been through ups and downs as everybody has with any profession. But then on top of that, you had the sickle cell. So, I was fighting that enemy that they won't call an enemy. I was fighting a battle that nobody else really knew about outside of, people that had it. And outside of that, a lot of people don't understand what the disease is. So I was dealing with that on top of playing the basketball. But, it had its benefits for sure.
Yeah, man. So, I was reading in your book, and in the book, you talk about the very moment where you actually figured out that you got into the NBA. You know, you weren't really expecting it. Like the call was just kind of random, and like you're kind of like, man, yo, fuck this, bro. I'm gonna go back. You know, I'm gonna leave because you weren't expecting to get into NBA. Then all of a sudden, you get this call, and you know, and you know, and you get that call that you're making it to the league, bro. Can you please describe that experience? What was that like? And how did you feel, you know, after like getting that call? That must have been like the most surreal feeling like of all time, I would imagine.
Bro, it was insane. It was insane because, like, you know, imagine that you work from something. We worked for something since you were a kid, right? So, um, you know, you're a young kid. You're dreaming about playing in the NBA. Like that's kind of what every kid has at some point. They want to be a
Yeah,
professional athlete, right? So
I
you
had
think
that dream
about it.
too.
You feel me? So yeah, so you get to the point where it actually might be tangible, right? So
Yes.
you get in there and you have a success. You're like, oh, hold on, I'm kind of good at this. You in high school, you in college, you're looking, you're like, oh man, like they got me. Like they think I might go to the league. Like I'm on a
Yeah.
draft board. You don't have the success that you want to have all 4 years. And then you go to the G League, so you at ground zero. So you really getting it out the mud, bro. Like it's really like it's like it's like a it's like the wild out there in the G League. Like you really try, everybody's scratching and clawing to get to the NBA. So I was making a team. I wasn't a guy coming in like with a bunch of minutes and a role in the G League, man. So I had to fight through that, got through that part. And then started having success where I could see it. Like it was a clear like pathway to the league for me. I'm like, oh, this might happen. So
Mm-hmm.
have more success. And at this point, people telling me like, yo, you about to get that call. Like it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. So the season ends. Um, and the G League season ends because the G League season ends before the NBA season. And I didn't get the call I was expecting. And my numbers at that point were through the roof. Like I said, I was the all-time leading scorer for that G League team, that franchise. Like nobody that played there had scored more points
Mm-hmm.
in their career playing. So I'm like, man, they gotta show love. Like, so when that day
Yeah.
comes, nothing, right? You can get a call any day. Like you can get a call the second day of the season or the last day of the season, like whatever. So
Yeah.
I never got the call. I'm packing my bags, about to go back to Chicago into the season, and I'm sick. Like I was in my feelings. I was kind of immature. I was young, so
For
I was like,
sure.
man, like I guess it wasn't meant to be. Like it ain't everything that they say it is because I done done
Yeah.
everything I needed to do, right? So I get upset and I fire my agent. I'm like, man, somebody gotta take a fall because it's no reason I'm not getting a call, which
Yeah.
was like that wasn't cool. So I did that. Fired him like say I fire him at like 4 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm packing my flight leaves in the morning. You know, I'm kind of down a little bit. I was tripping, to be honest. But we order food. Food comes. We think it's Uber. So, well, I think it's Uber. He's calling me like, yo, I'm at the apartment front door. Like, can you come let me up? So I go get the phone. I'm like, hello. I'm just expecting to buzz him up, and he's like, hey, this is Craig Robinson of and I knew Craig, so like we was cool. Like I knew, but when I heard his name, I'm like, when I heard his voice, his name, I'm like Craig, what you
What?
calling me for, bro? Like what the hell?
Yeah.
So he calls me and he's like, yo, like congratulations on a good season. Like you, and I thought it was just like some,
Um.
some pity, like
Yeah.
congratulations, even though you didn't get what you wanted, bro. Like good
A good
job,
one, bro.
like good job. And I'm like, man, he like a director of player personnel for the New York Knicks. So he
Yeah.
like he's a heavy up there. He a big he like he's big up there.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. So he tells me that, and I'm like, thanks, thanks, Mr. Robinson. And I really appreciate the opportunity. You keeping it professional. He's a great guy. Like so we were having a genuine conversation. He's like, yo, your bag's packed. I'm like, yeah, everything's packed, bags at the door. Like I'm leaving in the morning. I'll head back to Chicago, for the off season and train and do whatever I need to do. He's like, all right, cool, man. I'm gonna need you to like unpack your bags because this is what he said. Like, I'm gonna need you to unpack your bags because we gonna sign. So when he said it, like I'm thinking, I thought it was Uber, bro. So you know what I mean? Like I'm not expecting any of this to happen. And my
Yeah.
teammate is looking at me. He's standing there staring at me like, bro, why are you on the phone with these people so long? Like it's the food, it's everything.
Yeah.
So he's just looking at me, and I'm looking at him like stuck. So once I heard him say that he was gonna sign me, I didn't say anything. Like I didn't know what I wasn't expecting. So he's on the other
Yeah.
line. He's like, are you there? Hello? I'm like, yeah, I'm there. Thank you, man. I really appreciate the opportunity. I don't even remember what I said after that. I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
You know, the phone, man. I dropped the phone. I just started crying, like on the spot,
Damn.
like on the spot, started crying. Like it was just, because it's a super
Yeah,
intimate thing, and you
for
don't know
sure.
it's going. I didn't know it was going. I was genuinely surprised.
Yeah.
Which was cool, man. That was just a cool experience in itself. And me and my teammate in there, we just got there going crazy. I start calling all my homies. I call my mom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then went from there. But I had to lock in because I do remember him saying like, "Yo, be at the airport in the morning. We're going to Orlando."
For sure.
So I had to get ready.
Get back
Get
to
to the
reality.
airport. Yeah, earlier in the morning, and then I had to go play basketball. And then that was a great moment.
Dude, yeah, man. You as soon as you got that call, you said you were crying, man. And
Yeah,
I think for you, like, I mean, you like, you accomplished your dream of going to the NBA, which I mean, literally there's millions of dudes who wish they can be in your position. But then I know you also tied it to the fact that you have sickle cell, and you kind of realize that it was bigger than you, and because of that, it made the moment even that much more surreal. And so I mean, I'm just so glad that you had that opportunity to do that. I guess I want to go in, and then I want to ask you, because I'm very curious. Like, you had so many ups and downs, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Once you got to the NBA, like, how did sickle cell play a role in you with how did it play a role in your MBA? Like, were there stigmas against it? Were there like people who were like, nah, I'm not gonna draft this guy even if he's going 25, 26, he's just going crazy. Like, I don't want to
yeah.
take that risk. Like, how did that play a role in your journey to the NBA?
Yeah, so when I got signed, the first initially, it didn't even come up, to be honest, because like, which is also, it was a benefit in that situation, but it also goes to show how much more like spreading of awareness we have to do as a collective when it comes to sickle cell, because a lot of people didn't necessarily know what it was. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So on top of me playing and having success during that season, they didn't even ask any questions because they figured out he playing probably good. Like, all with him
Yeah,
playing. All right, you got sickle cell. Like, but I don't even know if they knew, to be honest, because like
yeah,
they never gave me a hard time. When I went to college is the first time where they really, really gave me a hard time. I won't say a hard time, but they were hesitant because they hadn't seen it before. And
yeah,
in college, you could be like kind of, they didn't want like they didn't know. So in their eyes, they like, oh, he got sickle cell. The last thing we need is for this kid to faint or fall out or just
yeah.
some terrible habit on the court. Like, that's a liability for us. Like, we don't need that. So I had to like go through a lot of doctors and things like that, because it's the NCAA. So they're a little bit more focused on making sure everything. They just don't want that on. Nobody would want that, right?
Yeah, I
In
understand.
sports. So so I went through a lot of tests. I used to have a trainer that would just follow me around like practice with a bottle of water, like anytime. It would annoy me. I
Yeah,
understood it, but it would piss me off, man. I'd be like, 'cause at that time, like, my ego was kind of in the way, so I wouldn't even tell people I had it. I didn't want like them
yeah,
to look at me and kind of treat me any differently than they did any other player, especially when you a dude that contributes on the team. Like, you don't want to be looked at as a special case in a sense, right? So if we're running
yeah,
sprints and my cardiovascular capacity isn't as high as other players, and I'm getting tired and I'm not making the times and all that, like, my ego would have me like, man, like, damn, like, I can't. They gonna look at me like I'm weak, and like I'm not. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, so that would be tough for me. And that would send me into a lot of crisis, especially until I got like started to
Mm.
understand my body more. As a kid and going into college, man, I'm rambling here, but yeah, once I got to the NBA, they didn't ask any questions, man. They just kind of, I don't know,
Wow.
allowed me to play. And,
Wow.
and at that rank, it's the professional ranks, right? So they kind of
Yeah.
make their own rules and they doing what they want to do. But in the G League, when I got there, they didn't have any questions. Then I,
Wow.
and then I got my success later. And once I had the success, I had already had a track record of being able to play, no hospitalizations, none of that stuff. So they never even questioned, at least to me. I don't know if they knew something behind the scenes, because
Yeah.
it's there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes in the pros. But to me personally, I didn't have to go see any doctors or anything like that.
Wow, man, that is so interesting. I would have thought that it got harder the more you level up, like the scrutiny would increase. But I guess for you, that wasn't the case. But anyways,
No,
I mean,
no.
dude, I mean, it's great for you because it helped facilitate your journey, and I'm glad there wasn't any stigmas. I was expecting to hear a lot of setbacks and just that in itself, but I guess
No,
not.
no, not until like once I started playing in Europe. There
Oh
was
wow.
one team I played for in Europe, because they had seen sickle cell before, and in this
Yeah.
country they were they were just a little bit more hesitant, because it primarily affects people of color,
Yeah.
people in Mediterranean climates, things like that, man. So like they had never seen it, so they didn't know
Yeah.
what it was. Just out of
Yeah.
like hesitancy,
Fair. Yeah.
they didn't allow me to play there. You know what I mean? Because it was like, oh, we don't know what this is, like, and this is
Mhm.
something serious. Like, why are I should know? Like, why are you
Yeah.
know it?
And a lot of people, are scared to embrace the unknown and whatnot. So
Yeah,
I could
exactly.
definitely,
For sure.
get that. You
For
know,
sure. From a business
man.
standpoint, you kind of understand it. It's like, all right, you
Yeah.
don't know what it is, but it's like, damn, like, but that was disappointing. But that's only happened to me a year. And in other places that I played in the pros and NBA, nothing. They
Wow.
didn't even bat an eye, man. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, man. Yeah, well, that's I'm glad to hear that, bro. You know, one thing, dude, I literally, this is like for me $1 million question that I have to figure out for you, bro. How the hell did you condition yourself with sickle cell? You know, I know you're in the book and you're talking about how much you hate conditioning. I love basketball, bro, and I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. As a sickle cell warrior, I had so much issues with conditioning, bro. And it would be frustrating, bro. Like, we'll do a full court 5-on-5 game, and I will be going on. It'll be very frustrating because say we score like 6 or 7 points, I might have like 3 or 4 points in the beginning, and then I'm
Yes.
just tired. I'm
Yes.
gassed, bro. And then I'm gassed, and not only that, I when I was younger, I had an ego and I would play through it and then I would get fucked and, go through the hospitalized. As I've gotten older, my ego has gotten better and I would literally remove myself from the situation. But imagine removing yourself from a 5-on-5 basketball. Like that doesn't really happen, like, so it's kind of like, and then I was too embarrassed to tell people I had sickle cell disease. So what I would do is like, hey, I have asthma. I just can't do this anymore. I gotta go. But, and that was something that has been a reoccurring theme for me in high school and college. I didn't play professionally like you, but I always felt like if I didn't have sickle cell disease, I could have been a much better basketball player. How did you condition, man? I'm so curious.
Yeah, man. So, you know what? Like, for me, there's no secret to it. There was no secret to it. Like, I'm just like an extremely persistent guy. And like straddling the lines of like insane when it comes to like something that I love, especially the sport. So like
Yeah.
when I was a kid, man, I credit my parents because they didn't necessarily allow me to look at sickle cell as a crutch. So like my ignorance allowed me to just kind of go out there and say, fuck it, go to the hospital. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't duck in the hospital. Like I would, and that's not healthy. I'm not advocating that at all for anybody
Yeah.
watching that sickle cell. I was a kid, so I didn't know any better. Um, but I would just push it. I would push it, man. And like when I say push it, I mean genuinely like to the point where like I can't go no more. And yeah, all right, I'm going to the hospital.
Yeah.
And when it came to that, like I would go through, the crisis, and I would have crisis as a kid. I would have them like a few times a month, like at least, you know what I mean? So, and when you're a kid, you're not training. Like I'm not training like I'm a triathlete or something. I'm just out there, just going as hard as I can.
Yeah.
And I was always able to, and this is, I can credit my parents for this too. It's like I was always pretty present. I never like took like a past sickle cell experience and like carried it over and like caused me to have fear like in the moment. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
Like I would say, for example, I go play somewhere and I, go through a crisis. After that, I go back, try it again, and I just got a little bit stronger each time. Like I got a little bit stronger each time.
You pretty much stopped about how even though you go through a crisis, you still want to go. Which to me is incredible because that pain is so freaking traumatic. Like I don't know how I don't it's like because I'm trying to explain for people who don't have getting sickle cell. It's like getting shot by a gun and then you're like, oh, I'm still gonna play basketball. Like I don't know how it's like incredible pain. It's by far the most painful thing I've ever been through. And for you to be that persistent and still want to go, I don't know how you have that. You must really love basketball because I'm trying to put it in the minds of people who don't have sickle cell. It's like imagine you keep on getting stabbed in the needle like every time, and despite getting stabbed or punched or shot, like however, you're like, I don't care, I'm still gonna play basketball. Like that's incredible to me, bro. And then I'm sorry. I know I'm projecting myself onto you.
No. Talk to me.
But if I'm going through this traumatic pain that you're going through, right? And this is something I personally struggle through with working out. It scares me from going to the hardest. Like even if I do decide to play, I don't want to go all out. Like you know what I'm saying? Because of what happened. So for the fact for you that you still have that courage to want to just keep going all out, hats off to you, man. I don't know how you do it.
No, honestly, that's the difference right there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like I'll talk to people that have an understanding of what sickle cell is or they have it themselves. It was like, bro, the only difference is like my ignorance allowed me to like push a boundary, bro. Like, I didn't care. I was like, man, listen, it's either like, and this is dramatic, but it's like, bro, I die trying to do what I want to do. Like, I'd rather do that than not do this at all. Like, so like that's really where my head was at. And I'm a kid too, though. Like let's get that understood. It's like this, like psyche was developed as a child. So like when I'm a kid, I'm doing this. Like, you know what I mean? And I was pushing it. And my mom did a good job of balancing me out and like making sure. But we would even bump heads because she would like try to make sure, I'm staying responsible and staying safe. And I'm like, man, I'm trying to go for it. Like, no, I want to go do another. All right, what crisis? I'm in the hospital for a week. What I need blood transfusion. All right, damn. Like I'm going through all these things, but like when I would get through it, I would be like, all right, we back. What's next? Like, let's do it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yo, that's crazy, bro.
Yeah, bro. So like, and I don't even know how to explain a sickle cell crisis pain to somebody. Like the best way I tell them is like, bro, I'm like, have you ever like had morphine? I'm like, that's what they gonna give you like for starters, like morphine. That's like the level of pain that you like. That's a controlled like thing. Like morphine is heavy, bro. Like so they're giving that to children. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like that kind of puts it into perspective for how serious the pain is. But yeah, man, like it's simple mathematics for real when it comes to me and being an athlete. I just was pushing it, and then I picked up knowledge like as the time went on what worked for me. I'll get a little bit better, get a little bit better, get a little bit better, get a little bit stronger. Make sure I'm maintaining everything that keeps my body healthy, eating clean, sleeping right, stress levels low, like all that. And even then, I would run into a crisis or two. But then, I'm blessed enough to not have had any in the past year or two.
Bro,
so,
congratulations! Yeah,
appreciate that, man. So, yeah, man, that's really how we've been able to kind of accomplish what we've accomplished. And it's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. And on top of that, like not ducking, not half-assing any of the workouts or anything like that. Like really pushing it and trying to like, making sure my cardio work is cool, making sure I'm consistent on that, and understanding too. What took a lot of weight off my shoulders is understanding that my body's like, the makeup of it is different than that of a person that's just playing sports. So like when I'm running, when I'm trying to, reach these heights as an athlete, and I'm a body, I can't get to where I want to get to at that point, as far as like my condition is concerned, like not getting down on myself, man. That was a hard thing for me to do. I'm like, I would get mad at myself, like I'm not different from everybody, and that just didn't make sense. It was just immature, you know what I mean? So but competing like I'm normal though, you know what I mean? Yeah, pushing it like I'm normal until it like put me down and put me in the hospital, and then we back at it again. But it's not for everyone, I say, but like I can't recommend that because it's not probably the most responsible way to approach it. But bro, that's how I was doing it for sure.
Bro, it's like, it's like essentially the quote, ignorance is bliss. And I guess sometimes ignorance is a
100%.
good thing, you're so young and dumb, you didn't know any better, but it kind of allowed you to take that risk. And so
Yeah.
sometimes it is like a reminder that we can get too overcalculated and pursuing whatever we want to do. And
Yeah.
dude, you said so much things that I also want to talk to you about, because just like you, I've been blessed to be pretty healthy. I'm a pharmacist, and so learning about having the medical background and knowledge I took it on myself to learn as much about sickle cell as I can, so I can do everything I can to be healthy. And essentially, I've been like you, I've been pretty healthy for the most part. I haven't had a crisis in a while, and I don't really get crises often. And so I guess one of the things is that despite me being relatively healthy, I'm gonna be honest, the hardest thing about having sickle cell for me is the psychological impact of it. Just kind of knowing that likelihood I'm gonna have this for the rest of my life, and how it impacted me and how traumatic it was. Sickle cell is very hard for me psychologically to deal with, especially when I was younger. I've gotten a lot better at it, honestly. I found my own practices and ways of coming to peace at it. But I want to ask you about you and how sickle cell affects you psychologically and how you deal with that.
Yeah, 100%, man. First, like, whatever it is that you do for yourself, like keep doing that and keep building that routine.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Blessings to you and blessings to you on that journey. But I would say, for me, and that's a lot of the reason why I wrote the book. Like, I feel like people who read it, like it'll talk about sickle cell and it'll give you a background of my life and everything I've been through, but it's kind of more so about the metaphysical, really more the psychological aspect of approaching the disease. Because like that's really where the damage is done. Yeah. If you really think about it, for me anyway. So, it's not necessarily for those who will read it, it's not necessarily a book about the details of sickle cell. It'll talk about it and talk about the journey and what we go through and some of the ups and downs of having it, but also on the back end, it's more about like the psychological aspect of having the disease and dealing with it and going through life. So for me, again, that was like a thing where it was a journey for me, man. Like, cause it had different phases. When I was young, it went through the phase where I didn't really know what it was, and I had knowledge, but I wasn't taking it too serious. It's just I had to go to the hospital and back out, like whatever. Then I got to the point where I knew what it was, and it was affecting my career and my like basketball and how I approached that. And so it was giving me a hard time there. And then I went through that phase where I was trying to hide it. Like I didn't want people to know about it, so I was ashamed of it. And I don't even know where that started. Well, I do know where it started. It had nothing to do with the disease itself. It was more so about like the stigma that it carried. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I don't even know where that starts or what,
Same.
Like why it's like that. But I went through that phase too. And then being in the sports world where like, weakness is capitalized upon. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't even want to show weakness in a sense. Like, I don't even want nobody to know that I got this. And then understanding that I'm different. And then I got to the, you go through enough of it, and I'm like, yo, I'm tired of feeling like this. And I started to, do the self work, like as far as meditating and really understanding the disease, and then like coming to peace with myself. For anybody dealing with like emotional and mental issues in terms of dealing with the disease, like the best way to approach it is to kind of get a deeper understanding of yourself and where it stems from. And where those feelings stem from, and going from there, you know what I mean? And for me, it was kind of meditation and it was reading. And once I started, I'm a heavy reader, man. So once I started to read more, and just, and not even books about sickle cell, just I like things about life and other people. Just once I started to understand that everybody's dealing with something, and we all kind of we're all one collective, man. So like that isn't even directly correlated with sickle cell, but it helped me understand that this is just who I am. This is what I deal with. And it allowed me to like practice like presence and staying present and staying positive and not fake
Yes.
positivity, but just knowing that, everything's going to be all right. And it's uncontrollable. Like
Yeah.
sickle cell's an uncontrollable, bro. So it's like, it doesn't help me to spend time,
Yes.
around it. And that's easier said than done. It takes time to develop that and make that a consistent thing in your life and in your mind.
Yeah.
But anybody watching this that has sickle cell, I would say make sure that you take care of the mental side of it and what it's doing.
Yes.
Address what it is, understand what you're feeling, and then approach that. Whether that be therapy, whether it's yourself, whether it's talking to someone that has it, talking to anybody, reading like it was for me, man, whatever. But to answer your question, I'm sorry, I was kind of a long-winded way.
Man, you good, man. You good, man. No.
Yeah, that's kind of how I approached that.
Bro, dude, yeah, you so many great stuff, man. I think people fail to make the correlation between, I don't even think this is just a sickle cell thing, is between just having good mental health and your physical health. I really think there's a correlation. Like I try to explain it to people, but it's a weird thing. But I feel like when you are mentally right, it also plays a role physically because you're less stressed, and stress actually causes sickle cell. And it's not even just stress is one of the biggest things that just cause a lot of health issues. So, I have a sickle cell channel, and in my channel, I'm always explaining the process of how stress can cause and magnify more pain. So just alleviating that stress mentally actually plays a role in decreasing your stress. And a lot of people don't even recognize if they have stress, because some people, it's so normalized in their life, you don't even know if they're stressed or not, and so it's unfortunate, man. But when you speak to like that stigma of sickle cell, Billy, like I know what you mean, but I'm gonna be honest, bro. I'm 28. I haven't chose to tell anyone I had sickle cell until I turned 26, and I started doing it publicly, because I personally believe I did it public on my sickle cell YouTube channel. I've always thought about doing it in different platforms, but I wasn't quite sure how to do it with other people. So I said, let me at least start it publicly. And for me, starting my sickle cell channel was very precious because it was almost a form of healing for myself to not be ashamed of myself. You know what I'm saying? To say that, no, just because I have sickle cell doesn't mean that I'm not capable, that I'm not smart, that I can't achieve what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? And that was it was kind of like for myself. And also I'm constantly thinking about other people because I know how painful and traumatic it is, that I'm thinking, man, I'm a doctor and I'm having trouble learning and like taking care of myself. I can only imagine other people who aren't as lucky as us and are as healthy, who are going through it, So I kind of wanted to take it upon myself to start, spreading more awareness and bringing light to people with sickle cell. I think it's very needed. And I'm glad that you felt the need to break that stigma within yourself and not be ashamed of it. When you said, I don't know where that stigma comes from, I agree, bro. It's kind of a weird thing. I think sometimes your household can play a big deal sometimes because they're always telling you, oh, sickle cell is bad. And I understand it's a disease. It can kind of start making you feel ashamed of it. And you're kind of, almost having negative thoughts towards your own self in something you couldn't even control, And so I think part of that stigma is like your family, out of love, they're telling you like, hey, you have this sickle cell, and they're kind of like buttering you up and kind of, it's out of love, but it's also kind of like, makes you kind of feel like there's something wrong with you. You know what I'm saying? You understand?
Sure. Yeah. Sure. I think for me, that was one of the biggest differences in my approach to it. I think is like my family really didn't like allow me to use sickle cell as like a crutch, man. Like they did a great job of balancing like the knowledge of the disease without like pouring too much fear in with it. You know what I mean? And that I gotta give him credit for that, because like that foundation, it stuck with me to this day. You know what I mean? And like I think it was just like the initial approach to it, and then once I realized like, all right, what I'm dealing with is serious, man, but like it's not a reason to not go for whatever it is I'm going for. Like, and that's a lot of the reason why I wrote the book too, man, because it was like a means of meditation for me. First of all, like it allowed me to take everything that I've been through for the most part, leading up to, you know, that moment in time. I finished that book when I was probably like 27, 28.
Okay.
So I started writing it. Yeah, wrote it over probably a span of like a year or two, and just on and off. But it started off me like just journaling, man, and just really like getting stuff off my chest. Like,
Yeah.
because I'm, you know, like anybody, I think I'm like, my mind moves a lot. Sometimes I need a way
Yeah.
to kind of put
Let it out.
thoughts to paper, and just kind of let those things go. So, you know, writing a book, it made me, you know, one, for myself, it allowed me to release some of that, some of those experiences and clean. I won't even call it tension, because it wasn't necessarily tension. It just allowed me to take, you know, some weight off my shoulders, in the sense of like
Yeah.
sharing a story, and then talk about sickle cell, and hopefully put a dent in that stigma within the sickle cell community. Like, damn, I got sickle cell. Like, I can't do anything. Like, I can't do shit. I
Yeah.
got sickle cell. It's like, bro, whoa, like, no. Like, and understandably so, like, from a perspective of Western medicine, like, it's like, yo, this is a serious disease. Like, y'all need to play it safe. Don't do anything that could possibly, you know, hurt you or send you into crisis. Yeah, like, understandably so. Yeah, but like, also, I wanted to present a perspective of someone who hasn't, who has been able to accomplish certain things, to be like, yo, it ain't
Yes.
really that much different than anybody. I'm not really that much different than anybody else that got sickle cell. It's just
Yeah.
the mental approach. Like, the mental
Yes.
approach is the surest way to ensure that you'll be able to live a fulfilling life with this disease.
Yes.
It's the mental approach, bro. Like, and the health aspect of it, yeah, it's a part of it. But like with the book, that's really what I wanted to touch on. It's like, hey, listen, I play basketball. That's what I do. Like, it'll be a million basketball players after me. The thing that allows me to, you know, be different in this space and stand out is that I've been able to reach heights that no one has ever been able to reach that has had the disease that I
Yeah.
had. Now, am I different? No, this is how we did it. Like, what's the difference? Like, the mental approach to the disease,
Yes.
man. So stigmas, I don't know how it starts. I think also there's a stigma to it because of the demographic that it affects. It's
Yes.
like the most it's like the biggest health disparity in modern medicine to me, anyway. I was talking to a doctor about, or she's a nurse practitioner, about this not too long ago, and she was telling me,
For
like,
sure.
hey, like, thank you for shedding light on the biggest health and racial disparity in modern medicine. And I think just because of the group of people that it affects, you know, the world we live in, you naturally just don't get as much light toward the disease. So
For sure.
as a kid, when you have it, you don't feel like you got that much support. And that's the thing too. It's like, when you feel like you don't have as much support, you're like, damn, I'm out here dealing with this, and I can't do anything because of it. It's like, nah, bro, like, that's not how this works. Like, you're like, you gotta take it upon yourself, but, you know, you can live a
Yeah.
healthy, fulfilling life with sickle cell, for sure.
And bro, I can't harp on the fact. I know it sounds like woo woo, and it doesn't make sense, but it does make sense to me. I've noticed that people who have a more positive mindset towards life, there seems to be a correlation towards their health as well. And maybe you could say,
Yeah,
oh, maybe
sure.
because they're just healthier, but I think that positive mindset actually embraces good health as well. I've noticed that a lot of sickle cell warriors
To
that I've met
respect things.
who Yes, I've noticed a lot of sickle cell warriors who are kind of going through it and are having a tough time. They tend to have a lot more of a negative mindset, and they also have a belief that they can't get out of their situation. And so, because they believe that they're forever doomed, it's just kind of constantly like going on and on. And I'm not here to to put them down. It's just something I've noticed. Like,
No,
I've noticed that the warriors who are a lot more healthier, they tend to be a lot more positive. And maybe you could say, well, maybe because they're not going through the crisis, they're more positive. But I beg to differ. I really think that they're probably a lot less stressed about life, and that stress allows them to be, you know, a lot more functioning. You know, another thing I wanted to oh, sorry, yeah,
No, I
no,
was gonna say, like, I mean, I got sickle cell, so I can't be insensitive to people that have it. Like,
yeah,
it's like, bro, like, great attracts great, bad attracts bad, bro. It's like everybody got something, man. Like, it's like, yeah, this is a serious thing. Like, you understandably so, but like, you said there's a direct correlation between like healthy mindsets and healthy lifestyles. To me, it's because
Yes.
it's a respect thing. Like I think I'm worthy of living a healthy lifestyle. Like sickle
Yes.
cell don't mean I'm not worthy of living a healthy lifestyle. So I respect my body. You know what I'm saying? Like I respect my mind and what I allow to go into it. It's a it's an all-encompassing thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's a saying that I like to use is like how you do anything is how you do everything, man. So like if you
Mm.
got a negative mindset and you sloppy in one aspect of your life, you're gonna be sloppy in every aspect of your life. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
If you got a
Yeah.
healthy mindset in the way that you approach things, if you got a winner's mindset in the way that you approach things, it don't matter what's
Yes.
thrown at you because you know that on the back end, no matter what happens, you approach it with the right mindset, and you're willing to deal with whatever the consequences and whatever the results of what. And it just happens. The world that we
Yes.
live in, you get rewarded when when you maintain and you stay solid and you have a positive outlook. And
Yes.
you can't take this stuff too seriously, man. Like, sickle cell, I can't do any, like, bro, it's life, man. Just, embrace
Yeah.
it. Right. You can either
Yeah.
have sickle cell and feel like shit all day, and this isn't in terms of like the crisis. I know that pain, so I get it, and it's okay to
Yeah.
feel. You gotta feel what you feel, but it's also upon you. The responsibility is on you to get yourself in a better mind state mentally, and then also try to get yourself in a better mind state physically. And it's not easy. It's hard as hell.
Yeah.
Being honest,
Yeah.
but
It's
it's
not
for the best.
easy. But having sickle cell, for me, it's kind of like, it's been like a gift and a blessing and a curse,
Man,
because
talking.
the curse is the physical pain that comes from it and how psychologically tough you have to be. But for me, it has formed the character. It has developed a character in me that I cannot replace. Because for me, because I've been through so much hardships, anytime I'm about to do something, whether it's graduating from pharmacy school or buying real estate or all the other accomplishments I've achieved, I'm always looking at it from like, this is nothing compared to sickle cell. So I feel like it has allowed me to achieve and look at things a lot more easier, because I'm like, I've been through so much worse. If this is what I have to go through, like this is nothing compared to what I've been. So it's like I look at it as like a blessing and a curse, but it definitely built the man I am today, and it seems like it's done the same thing for you too, right, Billy?
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah. So you've read it. It's a part of the book where I kind of talk about like failure and change and like time and how it affects your life and something that I always think about is like any perceived like failure or any perceived hardship kind of holds it holds a benefit of like equal or greater value on the other side. You know what I mean? It's just
Mm-hmm.
it's a thing of perception and perspective. Like what you're talking about to me, when I take from that is perspective. Like your perspective is
Yes.
good on the disease. It's like you look at it and say, all right, this sucks, right? But like, what's the lesson to be learned from this, right? And let me
Yes.
apply that mindset to other aspects of my life, because my life isn't only about this one thing that like
Yes.
this sickle cell. It's perspective. So I've been through this. I know what real pain feels like. I know the responsibility that I got to take with this disease. I know how healthy and consistent I got to be. Studying for this test, that ain't shit, because I feel good right now and I know that I'm capable. You know what I mean? I know that I had
Yes.
discipline, I had the ability. Like, so yeah, I'm gonna go through pharmacy school with flying colors. I'm gonna go get this real estate. I'm gonna go do X, Y,
Yeah.
and Z, because I know that like I won't call it persistence, but my ability to deal with this disease has built confidence in me as well, and who
Yes.
I am and what I'm capable of.
Yes.
And that's nothing but perspective. That's nothing but
Yes.
perspective, man. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And for me, it's the same way. I like to think sickle cell is probably one of the best things that ever happened to me. Because
Wow.
if it wasn't, then I'd just be some other one of the thousands of dudes that has played in the NBA in their life and live the rest
Yeah.
of their life. Like um it's allowed me to affect the collective, and I'm grateful for that
Yeah.
because I've been blessed with
Yeah.
that. Like I've been blessed with that opportunity and that responsibility, and that's an amazing, amazing, amazing blessing, man. Because it's like, all right, I've
Yeah.
been able to play basketball and do this, but I have sickle cell, so now guess what? I can kind of impact on a deeper level. And it makes all the crisis and all that stuff, man. That's nothing compared to the interactions. You know what I'm saying? The people, like,
Yeah.
you know, and it wasn't anything I did special. I was blessed with this opportunity. I was blessed with sickle cell. I was blessed with all of that, and I genuinely look at it like that because I wouldn't be who I was if I ain't have it. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
yeah, man, that's how I feel about that.
And yeah, and I love what you said about perspective, bro. Like I
It was
feel like
perspective, bro.
perspective is everything in life. And it's not even like you said, it's like your book is not even just about sickle cell. It's just about life. But you use sickle cell as a story, as a tool to kind of prove your point, you
Because
know?
that was my
And
teacher. Sickle cell was my teacher. Sorry, I don't mean to cut
yes.
you off. I'm sorry for cutting
No,
you
it's
off.
okay. No, it's fine.
I wanna include that. Like, I use sickle cell because in light, like, we all going through the same experience. We're all going through different experiences, but we're all a part of the same collective. So like, my teacher was sickle cell. My teacher was sports, and through everybody's gonna have, you know, it's a truth. There's like one universal truth that we all live by in life. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
my lens to that was sickle cell basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, and I just love what everything you're saying, bro. I'm like, it's just because like in life, like we can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we perceive that or how we react to it. You know what I'm saying? And that is powerful in itself. The decision to be like, hey, I'm gonna look at this as a thing that's happening for me, not for, against me. You know what I'm saying? And
100%.
so, and so
100%.
I love that, man. I love the what you have to share about perspective. I think it's yeah. Powerful.
That's why perspective is so important, because like it alters the label that we give like situations in our lives, right? So like
Yes.
your perspective allows you to label sickle cell a certain way. Like, you can either label it as something that is all ending, or something that is something you got to get through that has a lesson on the other side. Anything you're going through, and like how we label things is a direct filter to the meaning that we get from them. You know what I mean? So like,
Yes.
you got to be careful with your labels that you use on things that happen to you in your life, because it's a direct filter to what you're gonna get out of that situation.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been able to learn that, you know, through just having a disease, and you know, being through the ups and downs. Like, it's the another thing about the game of basketball is it's big business, bro. So it's allowed me to
Yeah.
like, it's allowed me to grow up fast. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
like, yeah, in terms of just dealing with that, because you are you're thrown into a highly competitive environment at like a young age. So like,
Mhm.
you learn how to deal with people. You couple that with like having sickle cell, things like that. You know, it's just giving me some experiences that I'm grateful
Yeah.
for otherwise.
Yeah. And then you got the great book, ODE to the Warrior. Definitely love it. And people definitely should give it a read. Yo, one thing I wanted to ask you about, it's not necessarily like what, because I read the book, but I'm actually one day one of my life goals is to write an autobiography of my life and kind of be similar to you and share my stories of sickle cell and whatnot and all the success and ups and downs I have to ultimately inspire other people. I'm just so curious, like what was the process of writing the book like for you, you know, because that's a new experience in itself. How was that?
You know what? It's like one of those things where I had no experience doing it. I was just like, I'm gonna try to do this shit, and I just
Yeah.
started writing, bro. Like, it was literally, I got on my laptop, opened up Word, and like started writing. Like,
Wow.
it was
That was it.
it
Wow.
was
Okay.
I watched the video on YouTube. I was like, all right, how to write a book, like how to like start it, and they were like giving me all this advice and all that, but like, I think it flowed for me because it was something that I was genuinely passionate about. Like, I didn't sit down in front of my laptop like, yo, let me get a book out. I need to write a book and sell a book. Like, nah, it wasn't really. That's why, and I didn't rush it. Like, I wrote it over like a year and a half, 2 year span. It's only 90 pages. But like, I would write, and because it was a personal thing, that didn't give me any issues. Like, writing a personal book, it wasn't something I was ashamed of, like having sickle cell and doing all that. So that didn't bother me. But having to like go through and retouch like certain parts of my life, not even to
Yeah.
say that was heavy on me. It's just like, I didn't always want to sit and have to like go
Wow.
within for long periods of
Yeah.
time like that. That was kind of heavy on me at certain periods. So I would write for like, I might wake up one day and be like, oh, I feel good today. Like, it's flowing. You know, I'm gonna write, and I'll knock out a page, I'll knock out 5, 6, 7 pages of a book, and then I'll put it down for like 2 months, bro. Wouldn't touch it again.
Wow.
But it was just like I allowed it to flow. I didn't rush it. It's
Yeah.
art, right? So you can't really rush something like that. I mean, literature is a form of art, so you can't really rush anything like that. But at the same time, I read a lot, so I had an understanding for how
Yeah.
how I like books to sound. So I
Sure.
wanted it to sound how I liked it to sound. Um, and one thing I did do, because I'm kind of detail oriented in the sense of like I put together a guide, if you will, of how
Yeah.
I wanted the chapters to sound, and like bullet points on what I wanted to make sure I touched on in certain chapters, and that would change. That was a fluid thing. It would change 100 times over the span of a year, but I would just go back and alter what I wanted to alter. Back through, changed a few things, and then got it done. And then now like it's the process of getting the book out, right? So once I got it done, I went to a publisher. I had a friend of mine who wrote a book.
Mhm.
His name is actually a teammate of mine when I was playing in Greece one year. His name is Jahave Floyd. He wrote a book on like spirituality and kind of his life, right? It's
Mhm.
called Confidence. And
Wow. Okay.
he put me in tune. He put me in contact with his publisher. Talked to the publisher. I sent the draft to the publisher. And I didn't know what to expect, because it was just me. I thought it was solid, but I'm like, I don't really know what the professional.
Yeah.
This is something that like really came from like, it's something that was genuine to me. Like when I wrote it,
Yeah.
it didn't feel forced. It was easy because it was like, um, I don't know, man. It was like God, like really was kind of guide. It was like, to be honest, it was like a spiritual thing. Like I really
Yeah. He
just,
used you as a vessel.
yeah, man. So it wasn't hard for me to write. Like when I wrote, I felt comfortable and I felt like I was in the right place doing the right thing at that
Yeah.
time, right? So it was easy. I just wrote what came to my mind, and the ideas kept flowing. So once I got the book done, I gave it to the publishers. Williams Commerce was the name of the publisher, and he read through it and he was like, "Hey, man, like you got something here, bro. Like this is a solid read." And I was
Wow.
like, "Really? All right, cool. Like I appreciate that." So they did it, and then they went through a few rounds of editing. And then, this is like all over a 2-year span. It went through a few rounds of editing. He sent me some ideas for the cover art. They took care of that aspect. I just had to write the book and get it to them. They edited it. They did all that, did a
Awesome.
great job, and then got it out. Yeah, now we here, man. Yep.
You are awesome, bro. That's such a great story, man. And it makes me kind of, make me learn about like how I would feel when I'm writing a book, because it's
Yeah,
very interesting. It sounds like a huge introspective, like just meditative journey for you. And
exactly what it is.
I guess I'm curious to look, because one of the things I'm most looking forward to about writing a book is
Hmm.
how the things I'm gonna reflect on the past and how much like I've grown as a person. What were some things that you learned about yourself from writing this book? I'm sure you must have learned a lot, or
Yeah, for sure. Man, writing a book, I learned it was really something I was proud about. Was just like it allowed me to reflect on who I was and my thought processes at an earlier age and the earlier time. And I was kind of proud of like the metaphysical growth over, because like when you're in it, when you're in the middle of it, you don't necessarily like think about where you were, how much progress you've made. You know what I mean? Because like you're in the
Mm-hmm.
midst of trying to get to the next thing. You're in the midst of like trying to um make it to whatever you deem your ideal to be. Like you're trying to get there, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, like r- writing it took me back and allowed me to kind of sit back and say, yo, like I'm proud of you in a sense of like what you've been able to accomplish and
Yeah.
what you've been able to do. Um, and it just kind of it re-emphasized, it reasserted like that understanding of how important it is to like continue to build and continue to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then it also, the book in itself allowed me to be it just to get to write it and get it done. Once I got it finished, I was proud of
Yeah.
the fact that I saw it all the way through, saw that process all the way through, because it's a long process, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it was just reaffirming. It was reaffirming, and it
Yeah.
was also It allowed me to feel like I got a clean slate and I'm moving forward, because I like that part of my life is in that book. What I learned is there. That's what I took from that part of life.
Yeah.
It's here to be shared with other people. Now I'm focused on the next, aspect of my life. Like, it's just, I haven't even, like, I don't read it. I don't do any of that. I don't read the book at all, really. I just,
Really?
like, I've read through it, but I don't go through it and read it. Like, I don't,
Yeah.
that part is done.
Just let it
That
be.
part's
You
done.
just let it be.
Let it be, and share it and allow other people to, take from it what they will, because it's not necessarily a book on I didn't want it to read as you need to live your life like this. You need to do this. This is like my perspective. This is how I live my life. Like, you can take from it what you will.
For sure.
I'm gonna leave it here for you guys, and I'm gonna go and move on and do,
Yeah. Yeah, and I read the book, and I like how your book, it didn't really feel like too self-helpy or like this is what you gotta do or too
I
critical.
didn't want it to be that.
I've read a lot of, I'm just like you, I'm an avid reader. And I know I've read a lot of self-help books. I'm kind of over that phase of my life. I'm more into learning about people's specific personalized stories and just kind of taking in from in and out what personally affects me. So yeah, man, that book, it was a very simple read, and it really resonated with me. It wasn't complicated. I read it in like 2 days, and I was like, solid book, man. And then after I finished reading the book, I'm like, man, I'm just gonna shoot this guy a DM, and hopefully he responds or not. But you're gracious enough not to respond, and I appreciate that, man. When you did read the book, when you did release the book, what was that feeling like? Like, were you scared? Were you nervous? Did it feel like a burning cut off your chest? Because I'm thinking, I'm putting yourself in my shoes, and I'm like, if I'm writing a book for that long, you said you spent 2 years on it. Do you feel like
2 years is the time span? I was writing for I was writing a month. I wouldn't write for a couple months. Like, it was just that was a time span. But yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's cool, man. No, I was just wanting to say, like, what was that feeling like, Billy? Like to just find, was it like, oh, a huge relief, or like, are you worried about what other people might think, or like, what was that like feeling like, or or you just didn't even think about it, just like, oh, whatever, here it is, and
I thought about it for sure. I thought about it for sure. Like, because I'm like, I'm not a super. I'm somewhat of a private person. You know what I mean. So, like, when you share something so personal, for me anyway, it was like some anxiety. Well, I had some anxiety, man. Like, I was like, this is like, feels weird. It felt really weird, because like I'm used to like performing in front of people, and that doesn't bother me at all. But writing the book, because of how personal it was, it's not as like macho as like sports. So writing it, it's like, yo, I don't really know how they're gonna respond to this. But also, like, I'm very, very comfortable in myself, so that didn't even really bother me. I don't really care. Like, the worst thing somebody says, I didn't like the book, is like, all right, bro, don't read it.
Whatever.
Like, it's whatever.
It's not that deep.
Which like, a lot of people, like, sometimes that might be tough for people to be that personal, but what feels weird is that, like, that personal story is out in the ecosystem, and anybody can read it. Like, anybody can read it.
Yeah.
Personal understanding and look into my life. So that felt weird. But the fact that it did feel weird, and it's like, it made me like tell myself, all right, this is like the right thing to do. You need to let it go. Like, don't be afraid. Like, do it. And then once I got it out, it was like, all right, it's cool. I just leave it. I leave it, and I talk to people that, because I'm super grateful for anybody who's read it. So when people reach out to me about it, I always respond. Because it's like, you didn't have to take the time to read this book. You know what I mean? And you did. So, like, thank you. Like, what do you want to talk? We can, so I try to reach out to, I try to respond to anybody who takes the time to read it. But, it was somewhat nerve wracking in the beginning. And then once the side is out, nothing you can do about it.
There's nothing you can do. Yeah,
for sure.
Man, that's awesome, man. I think, you seem like you had previous experience with sharing your story, because I know in the book you talk about how you had to share your story at Fox Sports with a national like audience. So what was it like? Like, essentially, what inspired you to share your story, and and how was that feeling, sharing it at a national audience? This is before you wrote the book. But was that nerve wracking in itself, or did it feel natural?
Yeah, it was nerve wracking. I wouldn't say it was nerve wracking. Like, I was at a different time in my life, especially like mentally at that point in time. Like, I was in college. Like, I'm in the midst of like trying to be the best athlete I can be. I was coming off like a 5-6 day hospital stay. I had a crazy crisis in New Jersey. We went to play Seton Hall. Um, I went into a hospital. It wasn't a sickle cell clinic. They didn't really know how to treat anybody with sickle cell. To me, it felt like they were, trying to treat me as like a drug seeker.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So I went in there. I had the crisis, and the crisis started like before we got on the plane to fly to New Jersey and practice. But like
Wow.
my ego wouldn't allow me to like say I'm like having a
Stop.
crisis. So it was like a
Yeah.
2. It was like a 2, probably on a scale of 10. We got on that plane, man. That thing went to like an 8, 9. Because like the altitude, it was very dumb of me to get on the
Think about it. No. Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
my ego, my pride was in the way. So I'm like, man,
Mhm.
this is like the heat of the season. I'm like, this is my freshman year, so I'm 19. They're like, I'm close to getting rookie of the year. So I get on the plane. Like, man, fuck it, we about to get on the plane. We gonna see what happens. And man, that crisis went to a like 9, 10. So we touched down. I get rushed to the hospital. They rushed to the hospital, and then I'm in there in an immense pain. Like, yo, I need something. They give me I think it was like Dilaudid or something, like something crazy strong.
Hydromorphone. Yeah.
Yeah, so they give it to me, and it makes it worse. Like, so it like made me. I was going in and out of consciousness in a sense, and
Oh
then I
man.
like they sent me to the hotel, and I started throwing up. So like dehydrated me some more, rushed me to a separate hospital. And long story short, was there for almost a week and got that done. But like Fox Sports heard about everything that happened. So at that point, I'm like, damn, like cat's out the bag. Like I wouldn't tell anybody I had sickle cell outside of like the team.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even tell them the team outside of like the trainers. So when they came to me like, yo, we want to do like a story on it, I ain't know what to say, but I'm like, all right, we can do it. And then we did it. And I remember watching the story when it dropped and it came out. It was on Fox Sports like before. It might have been like a halftime of another game because we were watching it in the dining in like the hotels, like convention, wherever you can dine at wherever we were dining at in a hotel. We were in New York at the time. So the whole team's watching it. And like you would think that like it'd be like a relief when I was over there. I'm like, damn, like everybody gonna know about this.
Yeah.
And then I remember just the tone of it was so like, this kid's like sick. Like, yo, what the heck? Like, bro, this is not what I'm looking for. Like now everybody knows, selfishly I'm looking like, damn, now they know I got sickle cell, which like I didn't really have the same, it was perspective. My perspective.
Yeah. Your perspective was different. Yeah.
So yeah, now I'm like, damn, my dad was on there. He was saying like, yeah, he was on his deathbed. Like, and I'm just like, fuck, man, like this is not good. Because now they gonna think I'm like a walking health risk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was a kid, man. I was like 19, 20 years old, not even. And that was like the first time it was shared, and I remember being upset. I was upset about it. I was upset about it. Yeah, I was upset about it for sure.
That's so interesting. So it's kind of cool to see how much you've grown as a person and how like you view like sharing your story now versus sharing your story then. You know what I'm saying? I think I did watch that. I watched that interview. I did watch that interview on Fox Sports. I thought it was funny, but yeah, the energy towards that, it does feel a bit different than how you are sharing the book.
The music and all that is like the like the slow pan to the doctor's office. I'm like, bro, this looks crazy. Like, damn, like I don't want it to be this serious, you know?
Yeah,
I was like, no, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I was hot. I was genuinely upset when I saw that.
For sure.
I walked back to the hotel room like, there's no way I'm playing any type of basketball after this. He's gonna be willing to let me play. Like, they're like, this kid, like, they made it like all it was. You know what's crazy? It kind of goes to show how like my approach to it. I was just like, when I have a crisis, no matter how bad, it's just leaving it. It was a really bad cry. Like, it was like to the point where I was genuinely in some trouble, right? Like from a health standpoint. And once it was over, I'm like, man, all right, that shit is over. Like, we on to the next. And I shouldn't have, it worked out, but like, it's just we call it ignorance behind around what I had just went through. I was like, nah, all right, it's over. Let's on to the next. I'm trying to play the next game. And it was like, bro, you gotta slow down, dog. Like, you gotta slow down. And but to answer your question, bro, I was hot when it came out.
Yeah. And I think one of the reasons why you're hot is like back then you had a lot more of an ego. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
100%.
and you were kind of thinking a lot about yourself and how the whole
100%.
world will perceive you and how it would
100%.
affect you. And right
100%.
now, it seems like right now you're kind of removing that and just not really expecting anything from it and whatnot, which is
Yeah.
beautiful. Dude, one of the things I also wanted to say, I don't know if you know who, like, you know, I'm sure you know, I know you know who Dwayne Wade is.
Mhm.
I was reading your book, and I don't know if you ever read this book, but it's called like Bigger Than Me. But
Mhm.
essentially, Dwayne Wade wrote a book called Bigger Than Me, and I was reading that, and when I was reading your book, I was like, dude, your book reminds me of Dwayne Wade, and I don't know if you're like
Oh, really?
familiar with his story, but it's essentially like obviously he doesn't have sickle cell, but
Mhm.
I felt like this whole time you were writing the book, like you were writing it with the tone like, yo, this is really bigger than me. Like this is, it's not just about me. Like, you know what I'm
100%.
saying? And like when Dwayne Wade was writing his book, like he realized that like making it to the NBA was a lot bigger than him just simply making it to the NBA. Like he had his family who was looking at after him, who was inspired. You know, he it was for his city, Chicago. You know, and I
Mhm.
just kind of made the correlation. I was like, I don't know, man. Like this, you remind
Yeah.
me a lot of Dwayne Wade. I know it's kind of random,
That's
but like,
interesting because I mean we're from the same place, but like
yeah,
I hadn't read it at all.
yeah,
I gotta check it out now, man. 'Cause I want to be
yeah.
able
It's
to
a good book,
see. I
man.
want to
You
see.
would like
Yeah,
it.
yeah, for sure.
It's
I gotta check it
it's
out.
about like it is a lot longer for read than your book, but I
Uh,
still think it's a good book. But
yeah.
yeah, man, like so we're on the topic of books, and you know
Okay.
I did also want to talk to you about this because throughout your book you're talking about so many other books that interested you.
Yeah.
You know, and my favorite book by far is The Alchemist. That's my favorite book. You know what I'm saying? We can
Yeah.
talk about that, but I wanted to ask you what are the three books that most excite you or like are your favorite books to read? Like what are the three books that had the
Man.
most impact on your life?
Oh, all right. So number one, is well, this is no order, but the what started the journey is The Power of Now. It's a book by Eckhart Tolle.
Okay.
Um, just it's basically about like maintaining presence, like being present in life, like and going through that journey. That started the whole like me reading and just like the shift in mindset. Like that was the initial like flip of the switch. So I gotta credit that. Um, man, man, uh, and I've read some good books. I've read some good books, bro. Chop Wood, Carry Water.
Okay.
Um, and that's a simple read, but it's like it just I love it. I love it.
What's the name of the
And
book again?
Chop Wood, Carry Water. It's by Joshua.
Chop wood, carry. I'm gonna note that
Do
down. Chop wood, carry water.
It's called Chop Wood. I'm sorry about that. It might be a loud outside.
No, I'm
Chop
noting that
Wood,
down to read. Yeah.
Carry Water. Yeah, yes. It's very simple read. It's about like just being persistent and like when you're trying to like master something. Um, it follows like this kid who goes to samurai school and he can't understand like why they keep making him chop wood and carry water like every day, like
Yeah.
something so simple. And he's trying to like it talks about like his journey of becoming a master samurai or master is it archer.
Yeah.
But it's a great read, great read. And then number three, it's a tough one. You put me on the spot here, bro, because I really got to think about that. I'd say, all right, can we do four? Can I do like a Mount Rushmore?
Yeah, but it just ain't that deep. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I'm gonna go. When I said Power of Now, Chop Wood, Carry Water, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius.
Oh, I read that book. Good book. Yeah.
It's a good book. I like that book so much just because I felt like I was not there with him, but it's nice because like he's in the midst of everything that's going on during that time period, and he's
Yeah.
taking time to write this shit down. And it's like,
Yeah.
bro, like thank you for allowing me to like tap into your mind a little bit at this
Yeah.
time period. You know what I'm
And sorry,
saying?
bro. I'm so sorry. I because I don't want to.
Go ahead.
I'm extremely excited. First of all, because I don't know if you knew this, but meditations was a journal for himself.
Yeah,
He did not write
100%.
that book to.
He didn't expect it to be
become
published.
Yeah, he didn't even expect
Yeah,
it to be
100%.
published, and it kind of reminds me of how you wrote your own book for as a journal and thing. He was just kind of writing it to kind of draw out his like principles for life. You know what I'm saying? And how he got to the top of him becoming a
in the
king
middle
of
of,
an
in the
empire.
middle of chaos though, like in the middle of like he's on the back and his life is about to end. Like his
Yeah.
life's gonna end. So, yo, if you're watching, if anybody watching this, go if you like read meditations, man. Like
Yeah,
honestly,
good book.
it is, yeah, because he's writing what I like so much about that book is the fact that he's writing that, like we said, and he's in like the midst of chaos, but like he's still maintaining a sense of calm and a sense of peace. And one of the most famous people in the world at that point in time, but all the principles are so applicable to everybody.
Yes.
And they're so applicable till this day. Like,
Yeah.
what's so wild to me is like, bro, the same, lets me know it's
Yes.
like it's all one collective, because like the principles that he was talking about are even more applicable now in terms of like simplifying your life and slowing all this shit down, because there's so many distractions around us, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Man, that's a good one. And then last, I'll go we'll go to Alchemist. Alchemist.
That's my favorite book. Yeah.
Alchemist is up there. It's certain quotes. It's certain quotes from the Alchemist that I just remember like till this day, man. It's like that I just carry with me.
Yeah.
Like just the whole storyline. Man, yeah, I don't want to go. I've been rambling here a little bit about
No, it's cool, man. You're being yourself, bro. You're being yourself, man.
With the Alchemist, man, like I read that book when I was in college. I read that pretty close to around the time when I read The Power of Now. And the Alchemist, for me, I loved how it talked about how the universe conspires for us to be successful.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's like a lot, like the analogy of when it talks about like being a shepherd.
We're about to get real deep. Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah. When the analogy when it talks about like being a shepherd and like when you're young, you know exactly what it is that you want to be and who you want to be.
Yes.
But like the world kind of makes you change your perspective in a sense.
Yes. Yeah.
And like getting back to that, like unlearning and relearning in a sense. Like,
I'm getting so excited, bro, because dude, the universe, like, I love what you're saying, because you know how they say when you're a little kid, we know what you want to be, but you know, bro, one of the things that I'm very passionate about, and I'm starting this, I'm so glad you gave me the opportunity, is just the podcast. You know what I'm saying? And when I was a little kid, you know how in high school you have those people who do like the television news, and they report like the daily news, and they were like, hey, this is what you know, they report what's going on for the day. I was that kid, you know what I'm saying? I was like 13, 14 years old, just like saying like, yo, this is what I'm doing, like, hey, like I'm reporting the news. And I felt so excited, like I was so excited. This was before social media was a thing. It was called Communications Club, but I paid attention to how that, I always think about how that made me feel. And right now I'm trying to replicate that feeling, not because podcasting is a hot thing, but it gives me that feeling. I like this shit, bro. Like I love doing it. And this is me, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm that little news kid reporter who's like, hey guys, this is like, you know, I feel incredibly like myself. And so when you say the universe conspires to help you succeed, bro, which is a great quote. I personally believe, bro, like I don't want to get deep with this, but when you accepted me, I felt like, man, the universe is really in my favor, bro. Like, you know, and it may sound wild. It may sound weird, but honestly, you're the first person on the podcast I've gotten on that I didn't directly have a relationship with. Everyone else I had, like I've met you before, but for you to be on my podcast is giving me evidence that I can do this with other people. You know what I'm saying? And so I really appreciate you doing this for me, because you're like you feel like an omen. Like I know how that book talks, you know, it feels like an omen, and like you're part of my journey.
You gotta pay attention to the omens, man. It's classy right there. But honestly, bro, it's like we're socialized to think that this shit is way harder than it actually is, man. Like we're meant to have all this success, and it's meant to be bliss and abundant. Like that's what we're here for, It's like we're not here to struggle. I mean, it's a part of it's about struggle, but it's only struggle if your perspective allows you to look at it that way.
Yes.
But yeah, like I would like it's gotten to the point for me. It's like I look at myself and I like when good things happen and I'm like surprised. I'm like, bro, what are you surprised for?
Yeah.
You're supposed to win. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like us being on this podcast, there's no accidents in anything that goes on. Like it's supposed to happen. It's for a reason. Even if it's one person is watching this, is picking up
Yeah.
something, they're gonna carry it somewhere else, and that's gonna be carried somewhere else, and it made it worth it. It made it worth it just because we wanted to do it. You feel what I'm
Yes.
saying? So like,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
100%. It's like you know, we get socialized and pulled away from like our essence as a sense just because of what's going on in the world, and there's so many distractions and such a dominant culture that kind of teaches us how to be and how to live that
Yeah.
you gotta unlearn.
Yeah.
You feel me?
No,
You
for
gotta
sure.
get back to that truth. When you're a kid, it's just pure. You just doing what you love. That's all.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You gotta unlearn and also like have that balance of living in a world of form and being able to survive in this world of form, but
Yeah.
maintaining that you know genuineness and that purity that was with you when you was you know a kid.
Yeah, bro. I mean, and like it's just like it's like a constant battle between truly fighting to be who you are and fighting to be what society and everybody else wants you to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, what society kind of wants me to be is I'm a pharmacist, I'm a doctor, you know, you make 6 figures, like you're doing well. That's what I kind of get praised for. Well, I'm gonna be honest, deep down, I don't really care for that status. I don't care for all that, you know, but when I'm doing stuff like this, where I'm having inspirational, insightful, introspective conversations, that's who I truly feel like, you know, when I'm leading other people to success, that's who I feel like becoming a leader. And I know you feel similar too, you know what I'm saying? Like finding your own opinion and talking about spiritual practices and sharing wisdom, kind of like me, is what really makes you feel like you're fulfilling your purpose, you know? Right?
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, to me, it's like we all sharing in this together. Like, what do you have other than to share with other people and improve the collective, right? Like,
Yes.
in terms of you being a pharmacist, right? You're a pharmacist. You're having good job, good success. Like that to me, that's a part of the game. Like that's the
Yes.
game of life. That's the game of like this capitalistic world that we live in, and that's cool because we here. We ain't get asked
Yeah.
in the game. So it's good if you're gonna be in the game, win the game. Like you feel what I'm
Yes,
saying? So like
exactly.
you living, like you're doing what you're supposed to do, what you gotta do, but also you gotta touch in with the world outside of like that form and that game that we're in, and also make sure you're nourished in terms of, you know, doing what it is that you love to do and who you are. And if you can balance it, you win it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you can make a living for yourself doing what it is that you love and what you feel like your calling is, jackpot. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
it's okay to me. It's okay to be in the game, living in this world of form, and knowing that you might not even have a passion for what it is your 9 to 5 is, but you up in the game, and it allows you
Yes.
the freedom and the ability to pursue your own
Yes.
passion.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, yeah, I don't
And
front
right
the
now,
game at all. I don't from my
and,
bad.
and
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
no, everything you just said, you literally described my journey to a freaking T, bro. Like right now,
Yeah.
bro, like I'm currently working as a pharmacist and I'm blessed, bro. Like it's allowed me to get 2 properties. I'm on my way to try to get a 3rd property, and it's brought me a lot of financial success and just kind of allowed me to be myself and experience a lot of great things. You know what I'm saying? And right now, I'm finally at a point financially where I feel confident in pursuing other endeavors that I feel like are more true to me because of what pharmacies has brought me. So again, I'm trying not to look at it as a negative thing. I kind of look at it as a tool to allow me to continue working and pushing myself to eventually get to where I want to be. You know what I'm saying?
Master
So,
the game, and then you can kind of free yourself from it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I like that.
You
Master the
get so-
game, and then you can free yourself from it. Love it. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Damn, I don't know what made me just say that, but yeah.
I like that. Though. Yeah. Master game.
That's how it is, though. You master the game, and then you can free yourself from it, bro. Because we born into it. It's just what it is. The world. It's America. You know.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And it has its benefits, like you know. But you can't neglect that, in my opinion. And this is how I feel. Like without anything I'm saying here, like I don't it's not right or wrong. It's just genuinely how I
Yeah.
feel about life and how I approach it, bro. It's like you master that, and then you can't neglect like the side of life that is truly genuine to you, like what you love, who you are, what your passions are, um, and dharma, like how you affect the collective. God,
Yeah.
you gotta do whatever you can to benefit the collective, man. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, man. And I'm so glad that you think about that, man. I think about it a lot too, man. And it's like it's a correlation between who you are, what society wants you to be, and what people really need. And I feel like if you can kind of integrate all three of those things, you hit the jackpot. You know what I'm saying? But it's an ongoing process for sure. And I'm trying to do more introspective work, do stuff like this, just doing the podcast and really pursuing what I feel like I'm meant to do in this world. And so to hear you talk about it and see that you're going through a similar path is interesting. How do you feel like when you're playing basketball? Do you feel like there's one way that you need to be versus another? Do you have that battle within yourself in your basketball journey? How is that like?
Um, nah, you know what? Like basketball for me is another means of expression.
Okay.
One thing about basketball is like, and one thing the beauty that sports is, especially when it's something that you do for a living, is it's no like there's no constraints on who you can come as yourself. I'll say that, and you can really be who you are because it don't matter. Like you don't gotta be politically correct for any. It's if you perform at a high level, you in the door, you good to go. You know what I'm saying? It's much different from like corporate America in that sense, right? For me, I'm personality wise, I'm a much different person when I play sports. And that's beautiful to me because it kind of allows me to express myself in a different manner than I do in conversation. Like,
Of
my
course. Yeah.
demeanor, the way I communicate, the way I speak, the way I think, all that off the court is pretty consistent with what I'm doing here right now. But when I get on the court, like that bravado turn on, you know what I mean? Like that performance, and that's the beauty of it. You perform it. But everything I talk about as far as like being able to stay present, being able to maintain positive thought patterns, being able to be consistent, being able to be disciplined. Basketball brings all those things out, and when you're not prepared, the sports world does a great job of like giving you immediate feedback. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're not prepared, you get cooked tonight. Like
Yeah.
you're not prepared, you taking a loss. Like you can't hide in sports, and the fact that you can't hide in sports means that it's just a lot more on the line in terms of making sure that your body and your mind is in the place it needs to be, and that translates to life, bro. So I would say for me, basketball, I don't approach it differently. It's allowed me to fine tune my mind and my process. And like you said, with being a pharmacist or having sickle cell, like the game of basketball has like altered my lens on how I look at the world because it's provided me so many experiences and it's provided me so many situations where I failed that have taught me a lot. Well, failed in terms of what it is I'm trying to accomplish. It really was, they were really benefits to me. But that's why I love the game. That's why I love sickle cell. Like, cause those two things like are extreme things that have sped up my process, my metaphysical process, and the mastery of myself. Like mastering myself, like that has helped me in that journey. And the beautiful thing about it is that it don't never end. Like, there's always another level to be attained.
Yeah.
But like the progress that I've made so far, the growth that I've been able to experience, just the overall experiences of it, basketball has done wonders for me in that department.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I love everything you said, man, and I love how you always view these experiences that you go through as like as a teacher, essentially. Like I love how you have such an interesting perspective on things. I think, and I'm trying to like internalize some of these perspectives. Like, you look at sickle cell as a teacher. You look at you view basketball as a teacher. I'm kind of curious because you spoke a lot about sickle cell teaching you. Like, what has the game of basketball taught you?
Good question, man. All right, so man, I could take this in a lot of different directions. I'm gonna say that it's taught me the value of discipline and like persistent work. Like it's taught me that the benefits of being consistent and working, because like sports is something not too many people that aren't in it understand, like the amount of work and practice that goes into it. You know what I mean? Like being able to perform at that level. Like there are millions of people that want to play basketball, right? To be in the top percentile of people that play the game takes a lot of development and a lot of work. So one, it taught me the value of extreme discipline over long periods of time. It taught me how to deal with different personalities and different people. It has taught me how to deal in a team setting. You know what I mean? It's taught me how to, man, it's taught me so much. It's taught me how to balance life, and it's taught me how to prioritize. It's taught me how to deal with the vices of the world, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When it's in your face, like it's taught me the dangers of that, and the everything that the world has to offer in that sense. You know what I mean? It's taught me from a standpoint of like, from a spiritual standpoint, it's taught me the power of just like confidence and always having that, and being in a strong place mentally, because when I'm not, I've failed and I've fallen. You know what I mean? Like it's taught me how to bounce back. It's taught me how to compete. Bro, it's taught me a lot, bro. It's taught me how to compete. It's taught me how to go and take what I need. It taught me how to operate in the game of life. Like it's in the game of life, when you're dealing, especially in the workforce in the world, it's like, it's survival of the fittest. It taught me how to be the fittest. You know what I'm saying? Like it's surviving that.
Yeah. Well,
it's taught me a lot.
It's your connection to basketball is so deep, and it's beautiful. It seems like it's very authentic. Like it seems like you're not really playing basketball for the status of it, or for what everyone else gets from it. Like it seems like it's really like just you and basketball. Like there's nothing else that's like really coming in between like your way. It kind of reminds me about like Kobe Bryant and how he was really obsessed with basketball. I don't know if you knew this, but like, because I know you're into spirituality. Like Kobe Bryant, he actually started learning about spirituality because he wanted to improve his game, and he was curious about how spirituality can help improve his game, and he started meditating and going to seeing monks and whatnot. And he felt like ever since he started incorporating those spiritual practices into his life, his game got significantly better, because it felt like he said that meditation helped him slow everything down and kind of look at everything for what it is. And it kind of seems like you have a similar relationship to basketball, where you don't really care that like if you're in the NBA or not, or all the status. You're really just in it for the sake of basketball itself, which is very beautiful. Yeah.
I can't speak for anybody else. I just know for me, like I genuinely, like I love it so much. Like I put my health on the line for it. Like
like literally, literally,
literally, like
Yeah.
So, man, when you love something that much, it's like for me, it's easy to love it that much because of like not just what it's provided me, but like what it's taught me. What it's taught me, man. Like I genuinely. And it's been so many ups and downs with the game, to where like pure love for it is the only way you persist in that sense. Like it's easy, it's and I don't know, I don't know what it stems from. It's just a level of gratitude that I got for it that is like no other. and I respect it with everything in me just because of what it represents. Like, it represents basketball, basketball and sports in general, like, it represents life. It's like a microcosm of what you're gonna go through in life. So that's kind of where my passion for it comes from, and it don't matter. Like, I've seen I won't say every side of it, but like, I've been there. I've experienced like the accolades and all that. I've experienced all that stuff. And
we were talking about what basketball taught you and how and how this is your teacher.
For sure, yeah. So as I was saying, man, it's like it's something that is like it's like a microcosm of life in a sense. You know what I mean? Like the game itself. So it's just that's what I'm grateful for. Cause that's like, I hold value in that, and I've been like, the game is like taking me to super low lows before, right? Just from, just cause my mind wasn't in a place where it could handle everything that was thrown at me. Like the successes and the failures, really, like the failures would take me to where like my self-worth was like directly correlated with like success on the basketball court. Like, you know what I mean? And like,
you can't control that.
Yeah. So like, even that being a part of it, and then like basketball like not showing any mercy on me and making me get tougher. Like, you know what I'm saying? It gets stronger mentally, and then like it's like when you got like a tough ass coach and you don't understand what they doing to you, and then like you realize later down the line like he was one game. So yeah, man, I'm grateful for it, bro. I can't put it any other way. Like, I do love the game with that's everything.
Man, I'm great, man. Hopefully you keep playing basketball as long as it allows you to do so, man. I got so many questions. Another question I have for you, man, is because I'm curious, because you no longer play for the NBA. I'm assuming, right? And so, like, what was that feeling like? When you weren't able to play for the NBA, did you feel down on yourself? Did you feel like, a sense of relief? Like, what was that feeling like? And how did that happen?
Yeah. So like for me, it wasn't necessarily as a competitor. Like, once you taste like the top level, when you're not there, it hurts. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't. It's not the best. But when I think about that, when I signed with New York, they signed me to what you call like a 1+1, which is like they signed me for the rest of the season, and they gave me a deal for the following year.
Yeah.
But in the NBA, like, not all contracts are guaranteed. It was a team option. So the team option, they didn't pick it up. Like, just from a number standpoint going into it, I was like, they had a lot of guards. Like, they just didn't think I was good enough to stay on the mob. So that part hurt, getting cut from the team, like, which is cool. But, it's at the end of the day, like, it's the accomplishment in itself. It's like, all right. And I knew my ability. Like, I knew what I was capable of. So, we just stayed on the journey and on the path. That following summer, dealt with some injuries, but was with Phoenix Suns for a second, playing with their summer league team and trying to make their roster. That fell through. So then went to Europe and have been playing in Europe since, for the past 4 years. So,
okay, cool.
Yeah, man, it's just, you could be upset about it. Like, as a competitor, you always want to get back to that from a basketball standpoint, but it's not something that, you can't carry it with you. You got to be a professional.
For sure.
And you got to make the most of the situation that you're in. I can't complain much. I get paid to play basketball all over in Europe. So, you got to make the most of that, and then still, like, try to get better and make your way back to where you think you deserve to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, but it didn't, like, crush me. It hurt. But it was like, I fought through a lot to get to that situation. So, when you in it, you don't realize that. So it's painful, but like at the same time, like, we're all one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
for sure.
We still got more to accomplish. So I don't take it personal. That's the business side of the game.
Yeah, for sure, man. Do you ever feel like, do you ever have aspirations or going back, or you feel like, I accomplished my goal, I'm there, and if NBA is not for me, I'm cool with that.
Nah, like I want to get back, but I do think about that from time to time. It's like subconsciously, am I content? Like I think about that all the
Yeah.
time, and I'd be like, I don't want to be like, nah. Like I want to get back because I still put by my work, I could tell that like my
Yeah.
work ethic, and even like right now, like I'm not playing right now because I'm rehabbing from a back injury. So like
Okay.
being consistent in that, like I'm gearing up to leave here in the next week or so, to either go back to the G League or go back to Europe, kind of figuring that out now. But I messed up my disc in my back and I was down for 6 months. Um, and just even the consistency in that kind of reminds me that like, nah, you really still want to do it. You really love it.
Yeah, there ain't nothing wrong with that, bro.
In my mind, sometimes I sit and I'm saying, "Oh, are you content with just making it and having that on your resume?" Like, nah, like So I do think about that from time to
It's
time.
like, I understand, because it's like a battle of like, you don't want to feel like your desires are overcoming you, but you also want to feel like you still want to be a part of NBA. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I feel like what you said, you're talking about self mastery. You know what I'm saying? And it seems like I could be wrong, but it seems like the NBA is the most hot prestigious thing. And so if you really care about basketball like you do, it's just
Exactly.
another form of self mastery that you're trying to do.
Bingo.
It's
You
not
hit it
like
on the
you're
head.
it's not like you're seeking validation from other people, or like you're doing it for any other reason. You seem like you genuinely love basketball and you
I'm
just
trying
want
to
to
master
master
the
that
game.
art. You know what
I'm
I'm
trying to
saying? And
master the
so
game.
exactly, that's all. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's like what you said, you gotta master the game and then free yourself
And then
from
free
the
yourself from it. It's like I'm trying to
game.
master the game, bro. Like that's all I'm like, man, yeah, you just helped me put that into perspective for myself. Cause it's like, yeah, I want to get back. That's the highest level. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
While I'm in it, I want to reach the highest level that I can.
for sure.
So yeah, man, that's what you
Yeah,
doing for.
yeah. And then, I mean, another question I got for you, bro, is because I'm just always curious, like, because I know sometimes some former NBA players they start playing in the NBA, and then they go to like Asia or something, and then their experiences are a lot different. How was your experience playing basketball in Europe compared to playing in like America? Like, what's the differences, and how is that like socially, just culturally, and what are some of like the differences that stand out to you? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's a cultural difference. Like it's
By the way,
imagine
where
getting
are you playing? Sorry, where are you? Like, where are you like playing?
most recently I was in Warsaw, Poland. That's the most
Oh,
recent
okay,
place I
okay.
was. I played in Greece, I played in France.
Oh, okay, cool.
I played a few places. But yeah,
Yeah,
so most recently, but it all in Europe it's like imagine getting dropped in a place you don't speak the language, different time
yeah,
zone, you don't know anybody there. So
yeah,
you gotta really be comfortable with like spending time with yourself.
yeah,
That eats at a lot of guys. It's like a quiet thing that happens to a lot of guys that people don't really talk
yeah,
about. Spending that much time alone because you don't never do it until you go through something like that. Because like people think they spend time, but like when you have that resource of going to your friend's house, or you got that resource of going to your mom's house or calling your mom or calling, and everybody's on a
yeah.
different time zone, so you can't really do that. And then you got to actually sit and be in a place by yourself for 8 months at a time. Um, it's different, man. So it's different. It's an
And then
adjustment, and like the basketball. Good.
you put that in contrast with like usually when you're a star basketball player, you're like the most popular person. Like you kind of have all the clout. Everybody like loves you. You know what I'm saying? Everyone kind of knows you. I don't know if you still get that same amount of love and clout in Europe, but like you get all this like admiration for being a basketball player. I know it's a very common thing in American culture. I don't know if
Yeah.
you get that sense of like
No, it's the same.
admiration in Europe.
It's the same. It's the same.
Oh,
When you the man out there, they
yeah,
go
you're
to
the man.
schools in Europe. They fanatics out there too.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that's all the same. But like the resources and everything are. It's nothing like the NBA. Like that level of like just the little things from the travel to the hotels to all that little stuff is different.
Yeah, yeah,
And then just like the whole lifestyle of playing at that level, it's nothing like it. So that's a difference. But in Europe, man, it's certain play, and I ain't played the highest level in Europe is Euro League. So I don't. You follow soccer at all?
Here and there, man. I did watch the African Championship recently, but I'm not like into
So
soccer.
yeah, like in Europe, like you got like Champions League soccer, you got like Champions League
Yeah.
basketball, you got like Euro League basketball, it's like the highest level of basketball in the world outside of the NBA. But those fans, it's like the Europe's NBA. You know what I'm saying? So at that level, you still, flying private and staying in like crazy hotels, stuff like that. But as far as like just the resources and the convenience of being at home, it's a whole different animal being in Europe, man.
Yeah. I can imagine that's a whole nother battle. And it's probably you have to learn how to even like be comfortable with yourself and alone, because I'm sure you're going to so many different countries, so many different places.
Yeah.
There may
You
be a
got
sense
your teammates, but it's something about it, man. Like it settles in on you slowly. Like you look up, you've been there 5 months. It's like January, February. It's cold. You like, man, like I miss my people. Like, but at the same time, you can't complain. Like you getting paid.
Yeah.
Basketball. Like you,
Yeah.
it's the best life in the world, bro. So
Yeah.
you gotta enjoy it while you can do it, because it comes.
Yeah. And like with everything, it comes at a cost, you know what I'm saying? But it's just like, at what cost are you willing to pay? I mean, like literally, like millions of people will be in your position if they can do whatever they love every day for a living, man. Like, bro, like it's awesome, bro. I wish I was in that position. I'm working towards that, but to see you actually doing that, it must be one of the greatest feelings.
I'm grateful, man. I'm grateful.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
for sure. I was also gonna ask you, do you know other people with sickle cell disease, who are athletes like you are professional athletes? I was just curious because you're the only person I know who has sickle cell disease who actually does like athletes. Like I'm very curious because all my life I've been trying to seek other athletes for a source of an inspiration. And when I go on Google, what happens is they don't actually have sickle cell disease. They will have
They got
trait.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, I had a dude that played in the NBA for about 10. He hit me on in a DM the other day, like, yo, you got the trait? I'm like, nah, bro, like I got the disease. Like it's a difference. Like,
there's a huge difference. There's a huge difference. Yeah.
Think like and I don't know like what type of issues having a trait causes. Like I'm not judging people that got it.
Yeah.
Well, not one of us. Like I ain't doing that. But I'm saying like they're different. It's different
levels to it.
It's different levels to it. So like people say, oh well, he got the trait, he got this and this. It's like, nah, like having the disease is very, very serious. But yeah, I don't know, to answer your question. I was trying to find people that had it too. I haven't met anybody that plays sports at a high level with disease.
Yeah, it's cool. Now, I was just curious because like I've always been doing research and whatnot, because as a young kid, I had this belief that like if I had sickle cell, like I'm so limited physically, like, and I would try to find other pieces of evidence to see if there's other people with sickle cell who are doing it, and I could never find it until I found you, and I was like, oh shit, I have to like hopefully connect with this guy, So,
question for you: how'd you hear?
Yeah,
how'd you hear about the book and all that? Just curious.
Yeah, man. The way I heard about the book honestly was through your Instagram. I followed you. I think I forgot. I don't know how I figured out about you, but I love the NBA. I'm a huge NBA fan, and when I heard that you had sickle cell and the works that you were doing, I followed you on there, and then I think you posted on your Instagram.
Yeah, I posted that.
Yeah, and then
I'm just curious.
No, for sure. No, I would be curious too.
I've yet to meet any other athletes out there. If y'all are out there, like holler at me. Like it's for real. Like I ain't met none yet. They got the disease.
Yeah,
that's another thing too. My bad. Real quick, I just want to say,
no.
For kids, like we grow up with that perspective. Like, damn, I got sickle cell. Like I can't.
Yeah.
And it's like that's another reason why I kind of wanted to get the story out there the best I could. And still working to get it out there, because like I just kind of want to alter the perspective that like these kids got like responsible courage.
Yeah, responsibly for sure. Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, dude. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, my perspective with sickle cell, like, it doesn't limit. It limits me to an extent physically. Like, I'm gonna be honest, bro. Sometimes I'll be working out, and because I'm traumatized by the pain of sickle cell, I'm scared to go all out. And so I'm like, I responsibly like don't push myself, and I kind of like let sickle cell limit me. And sometimes that can hurt me. I'm like, man, I really, with all things I do, I want to go hard, but it's that can feel limited in itself, honestly. And but I got to be responsible with it and kind of find a way to balance it, you know?
Yeah, it's growth, man. At the end of the day, too, you gotta understand, like, you're doing really well. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's like remember that. That's
yeah,
but yeah, man, it's incremental too. Like, it's not something that, it's not like just a linear shot straight to, super health and all that stuff. Like, it's incremental, and it come with like dips and valleys and all that shit. It's like, it's just the way it goes. But it's something that you could do easily for sure.
yeah.
The right
No,
mindset.
for sure.
It's
Like you
incremental.
said, it's a lot of consistency and persistence,
Yeah.
and I'm sure building up your body towards it. Another thing I want to ask you about was when you were in the NBA. I think no, you were in the G League, and you were talking, and there was, I don't know, you didn't say the name of this person, but there was a veteran I think you were always looking up to, who was like you are very like interested in, and you're like
Yeah.
you wanted to learn about him, and you were
Yeah.
just watching him, you were just observing him because he
For
got
sure.
to where you wanted to be, and
For sure.
you went up to him one day and you were like, yo, how do you do it, bro? Like, how do you do it? And then the guy just simply said, it's just who I am. And that part kind of like resonated with me too, because sometimes I look at people doing great things and I'm like, yo, bro, how are you like so consistent and persistent with your discipline or whatever craft you are? And sometimes it's just like, yo, this is just simply who I am. Like, can you speak towards that? And if you don't mind sharing, when I was reading that book, who was that person? Or you don't want to describe it? I was kind of
No, I'll tell you. His name was John Jenkins, man. John Jenkins.
okay. I'm not
He
sure.
he played at Vanderbilt, and then was playing with me at Westchester for like half a season.
Okay.
But like like a pro's pro, like super professional guy. And like taught me a lot about, again, like just how it resonates, how it relates to life, like consistency.
Yeah.
I saw it, and where sometimes you need to see it to really believe it. Like you can hear coaches tell you every day of the week, but when you see it in real time and you see like the benefits of the way that he was living and like what he was doing, it's like, bro, you got this, you get it. He got it. He was a vet. He was he was a mature dude that he was about business, bro. But I'm sorry, what was the question?
No.
Like speak on the it's just who I am aspect.
Yeah. Essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. So he what I learned from him, and as I've talked to people that have read it, they a lot of them have resonated with that part of the book specifically. And like that chapter in itself is something that I wanted to get across, because like a lot of people associate like discipline with like motivation, and
Yeah.
and like discipline rooted in identity is a lot more sustainable because it's rooted in your everyday routine. And that's just who he was. Like motivation is something that it's not every day. Like you might wake up motivated tomorrow to run 5 miles, and then wake up on Thursday and not be motivated. It's like, but when that's a part of your identity, when running in the morning, when eating healthy, when having a positive mindset is a part of just your identity, it makes it a little bit easier. And like changing identity, and not changing, but developing identity and developing discipline in that sense is kind of that's a process in itself. But that's what he taught me, man. It was just him, and it resonated in everything that he did. And also when like your discipline in the air, just when certain parts of because you got an identity, and it's positive or negative, like things that you're doing, your habits and things like that. But when like you're a disciplined individual and it's rooted in your identity, like anything that doesn't align with that, you just naturally reject. So it kind of streamlines your process and streamlines
your path to whatever your ideal is. Because like when you're walking in that identity, you're naturally just rejecting everything that doesn't benefit that.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah. No, yeah, man.
But he taught me that for sure.
Yeah, man. It's just it's interesting, man. Because again, like you said, your book doesn't just apply to sickle cell, but you learn a lot of wisdom, and that definitely that resonated with me too. Because sometimes I overthink and can have a tendency to overthink or wonder how people simply do what they do. But sometimes it's just as simple as like, this is just who I am, and I'm just being myself. And you kind of let your natural course like grow into you, you know?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that like everybody is like gifted with some form of
Yes.
greatness. Like whatever, I don't really know whatever the avenue is. It varies depending on the individual. But I'll say that like the path to that is like I from what I understand and the people that I've been encountering, what I've read, just the very simple like equation. It's just like it's simple, but it's very difficult in execution for most people because it requires you to be extremely consistent and extremely disciplined for long periods of time without seeing results. Like
Yes.
where we live right now, not where we live, but the time that we live in, everything's so microwave, bro, to where like
Yeah.
you can't get caught up in that. Like it's a journey. It's mastery. It's like master yourself, seriously. And it takes time, and you realize like I'm chasing something that I can't even necessarily reach because it's like there's always another level, but it's master yourself. That's kind of what the Chop Wood and Carry Water is about. It talks about that. But yeah, bro, like and we just gotta understand you gotta have the patience. And everybody's capable of doing something extraordinary. It's just it's a mixture of patience and persistence and not having a goal, but like being patient enough to understand that you're not even in it for the goal. You're in it for the mastery yourself. Through whatever your medium is, whatever your expression is. Yeah. So I'm sorry,
and for me, I love everything you're saying, bro, because that relates a lot for me with podcasting. This is something that's very new to me. And one of the things I'm doing very hard, I'm practicing really hard, is to not attach myself to the results. You know what I'm saying? And be like, oh, how many views I got or how many people are searching it. You know, I'm really doing this as like the goal of the podcast is to podcast. Like, this is cool. Like, I love to talk to. This is awesome, bro. Like, I'm genuinely enjoying this, bro. Like, I'm like, because one of the things about me is, bro, I'm very introverted and I'm very introspective. And usually when I'm talking to people or when you meet them on a surface level or small talk where you don't really get to actually meet people on a deeper level. One of the reasons why I created this podcast is I wanted to have deeper conversations that you don't. This is not like a normal day to day. You know. I'm sure you don't have this conversation every day. So I wanted to create a platform where I could do that with people who I find very inspiring, like you, and kind of pick their mind, learn how they do it, and introspect together. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, I feel like. The way I've been looking at this whole podcast thing is, if I can just podcast once a week, like, and keep on doing that, like, man, I'm blessed, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? And you are proof of that. That like I'm just blessed enough to even speak to you. Like, that's awesome that I got to meet Billy, and it makes me think like, who else can I speak to that I'm very interested in? And like, you know what I'm saying? And it's there's so many opportunities out there, and so it's kind of like with you and basketball, how that there's no sense of external validation or materialistic things. Like, the goal is to just keep playing basketball. And for me, the goal is to just keep podcasting and enjoying the journey and keep getting better at it, learn how to ask questions better, learn how to speak more confidently, and, just become a better version of myself,
Like in the Alchemist, bro, it says you study something deeply enough, then you'll figure it out. You study something deeply enough, you'll learn it, and you'll be able to thrive in that space. I mean, it doesn't say it verbatim, but it talks about
I know what you're getting.
Yeah. So I think with that, like, for example, with the podcast, and it's like you have a passion for it. As long as you're persistent with it and persistent in improving it, bro, don't look at the scoreboard. It don't even really matter. And what's crazy is in that space is where all the material stuff come the fastest anyways, because you're moving at the fastest pace forward. Like you can't have your eye on like the anger. It's like one step in front of the other.
Yeah.
Get better, right? And then you look up, it's, oh, okay, we made some crazy progress out here. But at the same time, it's like, bro, it's hard. It's hard not to, because you got the end goal in your face all the time, especially with social media. You're looking at end goal every day, nonstop, bro. That's why you got all that stuff is dangerous. You gotta be careful with that stuff. But like in terms of like the journey with podcasting or anything that anybody's doing, it's like, yo, let me approach one day at a time, and let me make sure I'm actually making consistent effort to improve. And it's detailed work. Like I'm not just working, I'm working to improve. I'm looking at it's detailed and specific work that I'm doing to improve my platform, improve the way I ask questions, get better equipment, like all that shit. It all matters. But at the end of the day, you're doing it for the mastery of yourself. Again, the beauty is you don't need it to survive. You got the game part. You're comfortable in the game. Now it's the passion, so you get to take your time more freely with it.
Yeah, man. And the way I've been looking at the whole podcast thing is, I mean, I shouldn't be judging myself, period. But I'm looking like, yo, let me see how I am 5 years from now, and then I'll be like, yo, am I like good? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not looking at what I'm doing now and be like, oh man, like this or that, or like, man, like I'm messing up right now. Like I'm a beginner, bro. I'm not supposed to be trying to be great. You know what I'm saying? Exactly.
Like,
you know what I'm saying?
Even if you are doing bad, fuck it. I'm trying to get better, bro. Like,
you
know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, I'm doing the best I can out here, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like literally doing the best I can out here. And trying to improve it, bro. But persistence, consistency, persistence. It's kind of what all this is built on. Is we sold that fast, immediate success, but bro, that ain't really how I go, bro. That ain't really, at least in my experience, that ain't really how it's been. And it might be different for somebody else. I can only speak on what I've been around, what I've seen. It take time. It's the journey, bro. Like the journey is the reward, bro. Like you feel me? So that's,
and that's one thing I'm trying to internalize more, and I think it's so interesting to me, because once the journey becomes the reward, you ultimately actually become better at whatever craft you're trying to better at. And then the external validation comes, even though, you know what I'm saying, even though that's not even the goal, though. Like, you know what I'm saying?
But it's a part of it, though. And we should enjoy it. We shouldn't. I'm not wanting people to be like, oh, well, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. But when it comes, bro, enjoy it.
No, for sure.
Like, in that space, when you in that mind space and you're approaching it, and it's not from a selfish, like, external driven place, and you're not approaching those things as a means to an end, you're doing it for the genuine love. That's when all the extra stuff is fastest. When it's pure. That's when all the extras come the fastest, bro.
And the cooler thing to add on top of what you're saying, Billy, is when you're doing it, like whether you're podcasting or playing basketball now, or when you're rapping, once you're at the top or whatever, or you get to wherever you view is that top, it's actually easier to sustain that level of greatness, because you are doing it for yourself anyways. So you're not getting distracted by the fame. You're not taking all those deals that can dilute your art or whatever. You didn't care about that anyways. You know what I'm saying? And so you kind of already built that character to allow you to keep on pushing forward and be consistent, man. So
your foundation is the strongest in that place.
Exactly, bro. And so yeah, man. I got a few more questions for you. Really, I'm sorry. I'm just so excited to talk to you, man.
Having a good time, man.
Man. I'm just like, I'm loving this, bro. Like, this is just incredible. I'm glad I got to speak to you. Another thing I wanted to ask you about is I wanted you to speak towards the 3 E's. I think in the book you talked about the 3 E's: emotion, ego, and environment. Can you speak towards that?
Yeah, for sure. So, my experience like I've had successes, I've had failures, and I've had a chance to kind of compare the two and like realize where I was at when I was experiencing the two things and where I missed at, where I hit at, where things worked out, where things didn't work out, and why they worked out or didn't work out. So when I basically narrowed it down to, those three things. So 3 E's: emotion, ego, and environment. So, when those things are disciplined, those three sections of your life, it kind of allows you to focus at a higher level. In terms of emotion, I talk about being able to feel your emotions, but at the same time, allow your emotions to control you in the way you react and the way you handle situations and the way you approach what it is that you're doing. I think in the book I use an example of, someone like taking criticism, and this is something that basketball taught me. It's like taking criticism and being able to apply the message without taking the emotion that's attached. Not saying you don't feel, because it's we're human beings and we're emotional creatures and we feel emotions, but at the same time, to take those, understand them, kind of look at them from like a third party view. Like, this is what I'm feeling. It's not who I am. It's what I'm feeling right now. And then being able to take that and filter it how you will, and help you maintain just a level of consistency. Like when you're trying to approach something and reach something, I think that it's important that you stay like pretty even keel along the journey.
Yeah.
Be super highs and super lows. So being able to maintain your emotion and keep it steady, or being able to look at it with a steady eye and not allow it to sway you, even when you do something great, like the heights, not getting caught up in the heights of where you at. You know what I mean? Like, that's important in maintaining consistency, because it allows you to keep the focus on yourself and your own self-improvement. So yeah, I think emotion is extremely important in maintaining and creating a level of consistency and steadiness in your approach. Ego, it's like, and we've talked about ego a little bit throughout this conversation. I like to look at ego as like that falsely created self that you're trying to maintain, right? Like that person that you create in your mind that you want to protect and you want other people to view you as. Like, so for me, in terms of ego, when I was, when they put out that video on Fox Sports and they were talking about, sickle cell and me having sickle cell, that threatened the ego. Like, that threatened that falsely created self, like this macho, no, I won't say macho, but like this high level basketball player that can't be broken, right? Like, just something the mind created. And it's like, damn, that video came out. They're gonna know that's not who I am. And it's like, you feel me? They're gonna know I got some flaws, and they're gonna know this. And it's like, bro, like a disciplined ego has no problem being authentic. Like, ego, you need ego in a sense. Like, we're not gonna act like we don't have ego. We all have ego in a sense. But like, a disciplined ego doesn't necessarily fight tooth and nail to make sure that it's right. You know what I'm saying? Like, a disciplined ego doesn't really concern itself with right or wrong, but just concerns itself with growth. You know what I mean? No matter who the right or wrong answer comes from.
Yeah.
So, in terms of ego, it can be a block in growth, and it can be a block in your ability to give back to the whole, because you're not authentic. When you give back to the whole in the best way, it's because you're authentic and you're rooted in yourself, who you really are. And the disciplined ego works in your favor in that space, as opposed to, a heavy ego or a big ego, and like a demeanor in that you're not relatable to the people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the people, like, it's hard to do that when you got a crazy ego, bro. And it's just hard to learn. It's hard to build. So you gotta be humble, but like extremely confident in this business, because it's something to learn from everybody.
Yeah.
Your ego kind of can block you from that. And then lastly is just the environment. And to me, I've been blessed to grow up. An environment can be your household environment, be your friend group, the people that you hang around, the spaces that you push yourself in. Like, subconsciously, naturally, we don't even all the way notice it all the time, but the people that you hang around have a direct effect on the heights that you reach, or the lows that you can plummet to. And it's like it's a background thing. It's casual. You don't even notice it's going on all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, but I've seen many a person like not reach the level that they can reach, and I've seen many people exceed far beyond what you would think that they would be, just because of the people that they've surrounded themselves with. That's pretty straightforward, pretty simple, but like, you got to rule your environment with an iron fist. I'll talk about that, and that's extremely important. Even if that means like secluding yourself, that's still your environment. You know, it allows you to think clearly. Like, it allows you to, work on yourself and do that introspective work.
Yeah.
And then surrounding people that reaffirm your beliefs and make you feel good about yourself and what it is that you're doing, as opposed to distract you. Environment has an ability to distract you from what's important if you allow it to. So that was a long-winded answer there again, but like, those are like kind of the three things that I've noticed that if you can discipline and be consistent with, just helps you. Just helps.
Yeah, I mean, I love it, man. I've been very well familiar with all three. The one that resonates with me the most is environment. I've been noticing how for me personally, changing my environment has significantly changed how my life goes. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'll give you an example. I grew up in Boston for like 23, 24 years, and then I moved to Philadelphia for like 3 to 4 years, and that's been an introspective, nice journey in itself, where I was able to buy my first house and just a lot of great things. And then I recently moved from Philadelphia to Atlanta, and you know what I'm saying? And so, like, from all those three different movements and simply changing my environment, drastic things change. Like, and sometimes I feel like if you're really seeking to grow, like, one of the easiest ways to grow is to literally change your environment. Like, you have no choice but to adapt and change. You know what I'm saying? So once I moved to Atlanta, I met like my first girlfriend. I found like a church community, and just so many different things have been coming on in my life where things are changing for the better. And it kind of makes me think like, yo, man, how else can I consistently change my environment to ensure that I'm in a place where I'm fostering growth within myself,
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, man.
It forces you to evolve. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
for sure.
It forces you to take it there.
Kind of like with you and traveling in Europe, like you were literally forced to if you don't know anything.
Especially like in terms of Benny, it's gonna force you to like take that introspective journey when you're alone and really connect, or it's gonna force you to distract yourself with a whole bunch of things that don't really. So it's either gonna have a crazy impact. It's either gonna be positive or it's gonna be negative. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what's gonna happen?
Yeah, man, for sure. Then I got almost rounding off. This is definitely the longest podcast I've done, but I'm really enjoying this. So this is cool. I want to ask you, bro, what's your relationship with your father like in regards to basketball? I remember you were talking a lot about it, and it seemed like y'all had like your own, like you had like a unique relationship with him, because he was also like your coach and he was part of your coaching staff, right?
Yep.
So he was coaching you, right? That was kind of interesting. Like, I can like imagine, I would imagine like if my dad was like my actual teacher or like a coach, that would kind of make the dynamic of my relationship a bit different, right?
Yeah. It changes. It's because now I'm more mature. Now it's different. You know what I mean? But at that point in time, it's like I couldn't separate the two. Like, I couldn't separate home and sports. You know what I mean? So, you go get coach hard no matter where you are. So it's just kind of just a part of the game. But at that age, I ain't really deal with it well. So it had its intention. That had to be ironed out later. But it was just a unique experience. But it was a great experience because it was like you playing high major sports and you got like a parent there like the whole time. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that was cool. It's different though. But I think it was great.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's good, man, because I know it seemed like in the book there was like a lot of tough love and like kind of, and like,
as a kid, you don't know how to necessarily like, you don't know how to necessarily like filter that and take that message. Like, your emotion is in a way. You feel me? Like, kind of what I was just talking about, like emotion. Like, you taking the emotion with you all the time as opposed to just taking the lesson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that, that's just got to be developed. And, now it's gotten developed, but at that point in time, it wasn't necessarily where it needed to be.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you, man. I just, you said something and it made me just wonder how we all treat people. But in the book, like, yeah, I guess, because your dad just wants the best for you and you're critical of him. And you might have been critical of your game. But I felt like what you truly wanted was just an opportunity for you to feel like you can make mistakes and not be judged, right? And I feel like everybody wants that to some extent, especially from their parents. They don't want to feel like they have to hide themselves or like that if they fail, they're doomed. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like everyone wants that sense of like, yo, I can fail and my parents will still love me. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what I got from that book. And it made me kind of wonder how, like, because one of the things I want to do is I want to be a father in the future. And it made me think how I would want to treat my kid and how I would like to be treated by people in general,
For sure, man. Yeah, it's like, and naturally parents, like their first, like what they want to provide for their children is safety, right?
Yeah.
So, like, naturally they want you to succeed so you can be good in this world that we living in. And they might not even know that pressure that they putting on the kid.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not their fault at the same time, but it's something you kind of got to learn from when you were a kid. You got to deal with it, and everybody got different styles, and that was just a style that didn't sit well with me.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's kind of
result. I didn't crash out. I didn't crash out because of it. Like, actually the opposite. Like, learn it worked out perfectly.
So it worked out in a way that maybe in hindsight it didn't feel like it, but it's like
no, for sure. And I don't even know if that was like the motive in the beginning.
For sure,
it's just the way it went.
Wasn't. Yeah, and so it's kind of interesting. Like, I feel like everybody kind of goes through a phase where, like, when you're like from 0 to 10, like you adore your parents, you love your parents, you look up to them, and then from the age of like kind of like teen to like 20s, like your young 20s, you're kind of at battle with them because you're forming your own identity, and maybe the identity you want isn't the identity that they want you to have, and you're kind of like, no, this is who I am, and they're like, nah, nigga, this is what you gotta do, and you're kind of like, and you're kind of like battling between it, and then I feel like for me, once I got into my older 20s and 30s, I'm kind of like, I'm 28, but I feel like as you get older now, it's like I'm kind of beginning to appreciate them more because as I become an adult, like I'm like, yo, like this is, you kind of understand what they had to go through to
you humanize them.
You humanize them.
And you realize it's like, bro, if I had a kid right now, would I really know how to operate with? No, I'd be winging it and doing the best I can, which you realize that's what they doing. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you gotta be gracious, bro. You gotta be gracious with your people because, like, they doing the best they can.
Exactly. And you can't be mad at that.
They're doing something outside of that that's obviously like to your detriment. Then it's like you got no reason, you got no responsibility to keep them around you. You want to handle that. But if you know that the intention is pure,
best they can. Exactly. And sometimes I think that allows you to actually like forgive your parents and have a much stronger relationship with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you may not have to agree with everything that they say. I feel like that, but like if you it's coming from a loving place, it makes it kind of easier for the relationship to be. Another thing I gotta ask, because I'm super curious, bro. Like, because you've been through your fair share of sickle cell crises. I haven't even told you my story. That's a whole. I don't want to start rambling about that, but essentially, we used to be in crisis like once a month, like every month, like, and and they're very painful. I almost died from it. I had pneumonia. I had acute chest syndrome and whatnot, and it was essentially very painful. You know what I'm saying? I remember crying and always asking myself, God, why me? Why do I have this? How do I like, remove myself of this pain? And I guess I say all of that to say that sickle cell is a very traumatizing experience. And I'm kind of curious to know, have you healed from your sickle cell trauma? And if so, how have you healed? And if not, like, how are you working towards that, or are you working towards that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I have. I'm gonna say I think I have.
You think? You don't know.
But
It's hard to tell. You never.
It's hard to tell. It doesn't scare me anymore. I can say that. Just because like I've accepted it. I've accepted it. That's where I think I've accepted it and what comes with it, and I ain't afraid of the consequences of it. You know what I'm saying? Like that, and that for me is freedom. That for me is freedom, man. Like if it goes all the way south, bro, and I don't want to be dramatic. I don't want to make it seem like I'm saying this but if it goes all the way south, I'm at peace because it's like I've done the best I can with this. You know what I'm saying? So and that has provided me the freedom to do everything I've done because I've been able to operate without any restraints. You know what I mean? And then just take what comes with it. That comes with it. But like trauma for me, it ain't really. And if I were to sit down with a therapist and talk about this, it might have an effect on like my psyche and the way I approach life and everything. Yeah. But for me, it's worked out, and I don't run from it. Now I'm conscious and I'm respectful of the disease and what it is, but I don't allow it to alter how I do anything. If anything, it's made me stronger. But at the same time, bro, I'm here for whatever it brings to me. Because I wouldn't want to live my life any other way. And not to be irresponsible or reckless, but like in terms of sports, I approach sports with that mindset. Like we're going to go for it today. We're going to be responsible. We're going to think about how we feel. We ain't going to go out and kill ourselves, but we're going to push it. And I ain't afraid of a crisis, bro. Like I ain't afraid to be in the hospital for a week. I ain't afraid to, I'm not. It's just, once you go through one, you've been through a million. To me, it's like, I know what the pain feel like. That shit is going to suck. But if we make it through it, then we're back.
Yeah.
And my body's gotten stronger because of that mindset.
Yeah. So essentially, like, it's very interesting. Like you feel like one of the reasons why you are able to heal from it is because you stop fighting it. You just accepted it.
Accept it. It is. It just is. It's things that you got preferred indifference and you got unpreferred indifference. It's an unpreferred indifferent. Like it's like something I can't control. Am I happy with it? Nah. Like it's just, but it's uncontrollable, bro.
Yeah.
It's like what else I'm gonna do? What else? I don't have no choice. Like it was in my cards for a reason, obviously. You know what I mean? So
yeah. I mean, dude, I ask myself this question all the time, and it's a philosophical, universal question that applies not just to sickle cell, but with anything. And the question is, are you at peace with yourself when you don't get what you want? You know what I'm saying? And I always ask myself that in regards to sickle cell. Am I at peace with having sickle cell, even though I didn't ask for this? And for me, I would definitely say the answer is yes, and it's a work in progress, but it could be with anything. Are you at peace when your girlfriend breaks up with you? Are you at peace when you don't make it to the NBA? Are you at peace when you get dropped off at the NBA? Life is always going to throw you stuff where you're not going to get what you want, but it's like, hey, are you still be able to maintain that peace? And sometimes, quite frankly, it's hard to maintain that peace. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
But it's something I think about a lot, man, because I know I used to. I don't know. I looked at. I've always had these goals I wanted to attain and get, but when I don't get it, it kind of makes me like I don't feel. I used to not feel at peace with not having what I want, but as I've gotten older, I feel like those failures or those quote unquote like mishaps have gotten me to where I am today. You know what I'm saying? And so it's kind of like I couldn't have predicted the fact that I'm in Atlanta right now. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't necessarily the goal, but it happened. And it's like, it's kind of like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's like 100%. A weird thing. Yeah,
100%. 100% for me. Like when I hear you say that, it makes me think about like, and everybody might not be super spiritual, right?
Yeah.
Or however they approach it, but this is how I look at it. Like for you to not be for not you specifically, but not be at peace with the world, I like to think of it as like everything is as it should be. Like there's no mistakes in this, you know what I'm saying? So like for you to operate and not be at peace with that is to say that the universe put you here to suffer and live bad. And to me, it just don't work like that. But that's just perspective. And because that's my perspective, my life has been one that is one that I could say like I've been able to accomplish some great things that I've wanted to do. Also, man, it's like, can you repeat? You said just like what it is that you say to yourself. I wanna run that through my mind again. You said,
yeah.
peace when
Like,
what you want.
are you at peace? Are you at peace when you don't get what you want? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So when I think about that, again, like I like to look at it as like everything is as it should be, and then it's also like a learning curve there. Like, why didn't I get what it was I was looking for? All right, that's a victory in itself, picking up that game. Why I didn't get what it is that I was looking for. So yeah, man, I don't think it's any accidents. I think to think like that and to be upset when you don't get what you want is to say that God, the universe, doesn't have a greater plan for you and you don't trust. To me, to be upset with that is to say you don't have any trust. Not have any trust is a tough place to be. Because if you don't have trust in what's going on, then you probably won't succeed. And I think people who operate in that space consistently get rewarded for operating that way.
For sure. And essentially what it is having faith. Having faith.
Exactly.
And
That's exactly what it is.
and everything you're saying, bro, is why recently I turned a lot into Christianity, and I've been practicing and developing my relationship with God and infusing that with spiritual wisdom. And essentially, like, ever since I started strengthening my relationship with God, I've become a lot more faithful in the way I go about living and pursuing the world. And so, yeah, man, it's having faith, bro. And it's like it's to be, and if you're angry at whatever happens, it's because you feel like, you know, it wasn't meant for, like, you're kind of combating what you feel like God has put in the earth for you. You know, it's kind of like you're testing him and you're questioning like what he's doing for you. You know what I'm saying?
And so that mindset provides more resistance. Resistance gets you to where you want to go. You can't. You got to flow. Cannot be resistant.
Yeah.
You're gonna get your issue. Everybody gonna get what you're gonna get your issue if you operate in the right space.
And so I'm glad we're both choosing to have this perspective, because whether it's wrong or right, it doesn't matter. It's the question. The thing is that it serves us and it benefits us. You know what I'm saying? So I'm choosing to live in faith, man. Even if there's no scientific or analytical way of proving that I'm actually right. You know what I'm saying? It's serving me, you know? And
it serves what works for my life, which is like, when I say anything, when I talk to people, I always say like, yo, this is not gospel. This is not to be taken. You can take none of what I'm saying, but this is how I live. This is how I operate. This is what works for me. It may work for you. It may not, but I'm going to share because that's what I'm here to do. And I want to share my perspective and how I see it. And I want you to share your perspective and how you see it. And I'm going to take from you as I will, as I wish. And I want you to take from me as you wish. And then we'll just marry the two.
Exactly.
Go on about our day, bro. But yeah, that's.
And we're doing that right. We're doing that right now on the podcast too. Right now, we're just simply sharing, hey, our lives, our perspectives, our stories, and how that worked, what worked for us, what didn't work for us, and we're moving on, man. You know,
100%. That's really it. 100%. You know? What else is it? That's all you can do.
Yeah, man. So, man, dude, I mean, yo, Billy, it was a pleasure speaking with you.
Man,
this was by far the longest podcast I've ever done, and you really helped me reignite my passion for podcasting and having great conversations, man. I'm kind of just curious to for people who would like to reach out to you, especially people with sickle cell.
Yeah.
How can people reach out to you? How can people buy your book? You know, there's anything you would like to promote?
Yeah. Man, again, just thank you for having me on. For sure, I enjoyed this. This did a lot for me as well. Just served me. And so just being able to communicate with somebody that has sickle cell, kind of, you know, see the disease and just the world in a similar manner. That was nice to be able to do. As far as the book's concerned, Ode to the Warrior, it's on Amazon. Go on Amazon Books and grab it. My social media platforms, it's posted direct link to the book. So if you want to do that, B Garrett, BGARRETT _5 is where you can find me. Again, if you want to reach out to me and talk about the book, reach out. I will respond because I just want perspectives on it and how people feel about it. So, you know, I'm not a guy that uses Instagram every day. So like, if it takes me a few days, it might take me a week, but I will get back to you, and we will chop it up about the book. Yeah, man, that's all I got.
Yeah, man, and Billy's a man of his word. You know, it took we went back and forth. It took him a couple of days to get back to me, but he did get back to me, and like a man of his word, he stuck to the podcast. So I appreciate that, man. I really do. And before we end this podcast, I wanna end it with a quote actually from your book that I really liked, and it was
Man. All right.
people who are ignorant of philosophy blame others for their own misfortunes. Those who are beginning to learn philosophy blame themselves, and those who have mastered philosophy blame no one. You know, I really like that book. So yeah, I just
I appreciate that, man.
I love that book. I just wanted to end it on that. But
Thank you.
thank you, man, and I appreciate you, man.